Rachel Reed came with a purpose and she stood on business. Clothes were taken off in ways clothes were never taken off before. Lips were kissed in ways lips were never kissed before. Dicks were sucked in ways dicks were never sucked before, and ass was fucked in ways ass was never fucked before. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I hate myself. You know the show that everyone is talking about where the gays are going at it on each other? No, I'm not talking about Drag Race. I'm talking about Heated Rivalry, the show that has flooded Twitter ever since it came out last month. And as of right now that I'm filming this video, the last episode is still not out, but by the time you're seeing this, it's probably out. Today we are going to be reading through Rachel Reed's novel, Today we are going to be talking about Rachel Reed's novel of the same title, Heated Rivalry, that is Today we are going to be talking about Rachel Reed's novel, Heated Rivalry, that the show is based on. If you've been living under a rock and you have no idea what this shit is all about, let me break it down to you. Because I'm the best person to introduce it to you, as I've been following it on Twitter and haven't watched a single episode that's been out for weeks. I've read the book, so I guess I qualify, okay? Don't get to me. Last night I sat down and I read all of it, and as I was highlighting it today, I read all of it again, and honestly I feel like I'm going insane. The novel follows two gays in hockey. One is from Canada and the other one is from Russia, who cannot speak in English very well, even though he does speak in English throughout the novel, but we are reminded a lot of times that he cannot speak English. So we'll be doing a little accent for him. They are very famous rivals who cannot stand each other and basically hate each other. You know, one thing that I really liked about this novel was it actually makes them enemies and they stay fighting throughout the novel down to the last page. So that was great. Other than that, they fuck a lot in this novel, and by that I mean a lot, and as I will read through it, you'll know how much I'm talking about. So without any further ado, let's read through the book and see them get down on each other. Prologue. October 2016, Montreal. Shane Hollander was as close to losing it as he ever allowed himself to get. He'd endured 2 periods and 12 minutes of one of the most frustrating hockey games he'd ever played. Should have been a glorious win at home for his Montreal Voyageurs against their arch rivals, the Boston Bears. Instead, it had been a grueling humiliation, and the score stood at 4-1 for Boston with less than 8 minutes left on the clock. You know what else was humiliating? Writing this book. And you know what was even more humiliating? Reading this book. One man had capitalized more than anyone, the most hated man in Montreal, Ilya Rozanov. The near-century-old rivalry between the Montreal and Boston NHL teams had over the past 6 seasons become personified by Hollander and Rozanov. Their intense animosity was clear even to the fans in the farthest, cheapest seats. Catch it, broke people. Having a good night? Rozanov asked cheerfully. His hazel eyes sparkled the way they always did when he was talking shit. Fuck you, Hollander growled. Still time for a hat-trick, I think. Rozanov mused, his English barely comprehensible between his thick accent and his mouth guard. You know what else is thick? We'll get back to that later. Should I do it now or wait until the last minute? More exciting that way, yes. Hollander gritted his teeth around his own mouth guard and didn't answer. Shut up, Rozanov, the referee said. Last warning. Rozanov stopped talking, but he managed to find an even more effective way of getting under Hollander's skin. He winked. And then he won the face-off. Shane's left wing line mate Hayden Pike sat on a bench next to him, as always. You alright? Hayden asked quietly. Sure, Shane said flatly. He tipped his head back until it met the cool wall behind him and closed his eyes. You know what would be sweet? Hayden asked. You know that movie The Purge where you get to break whatever laws for one night with no consequences? Sort of, Shane said. Man, if it was real, I would murder the fuck out of Rozanov. Shane laughed. He couldn't disagree that bludgeoning that smug Russian face would be at least a little bit satisfying. But he does bludgeon that face every now and then. What about that? What was that? A semicircles of cameras, lights, and microphones formed around him. Hey guys, Shane said tiredly. They asked their boring questions and Shane gave them boring answers. What could he even say? It was a hockey game and one team had lost and that team was his team. Do you want to know what Rozanov just said about you? One of the reporters asked gleefully. Something nice, I assume? He said he wished you'd been playing tonight. The crowd of reporters was silent, waiting. Shane snorted and shook his head. Well, we play in Boston in 3 weeks. You can let him know that I will definitely be at that game. He will also be somewhere else, but we cannot talk about that right now. An hour later, shower changed, and finally alone, Shane drove himself home. Not to his Westmount penthouse, but to the one nobody knew about. Shane only spent a few nights a year at the small condominium, condominium in the Plateau. It was where he went when he wanted to be sure of total privacy. The condo on the third floor looked like what it was, a demo condo that had been decorated by a professional house stager. The knock at the door came almost 40 minutes later. It had been enough time that Shane had almost convinced himself to leave to put an end to this foolishness, but of course, he hadn't. And if the knock had come hours later, even Shane would still have been on that sofa waiting for it. He opened the door. What the fuck took you so long? He asked, annoyed. We were celebrating. Big win tonight, you know. I know I shouldn't be doing the accent right now because at this point in the book you don't know that it's Ilya, but you know, I don't think anyone cares about that. Shane gripped his leather jacket with both hands and pulled him closer as he kissed Rozanov breathless. How long do you have? Shane asked quickly, when they had broken apart for air. 2 hours maybe? Fuck. He kissed Rozanov again roughly and needy. God, he needed this. This horrible fucked up thing. You know, while I was reading this part in this book, I thought that Shane was just relieved that they have 2 hours, but actually he was just annoyed. That he was just annoyed that they have so little time. Like 2 hours is a lot to fuck. Unless you have other things to do. Well, I am not freaky enough to know what else you can do in 2 hours, because fucking certainly doesn't take that long. Unless you taste like beer, Rozanov said. You taste like horrible gum you chew. Is so I don't smoke. Shut up. Is that a Mitski reference? Because if that's so, you get 5 stars. And if that's not, then you get 1 star. They grappled and maneuvered each other until they had reached the bedroom, where Shane shoved roughly against a wall and continued kissing him. He felt the familiar slide of his rival's tongue in his mouth and slid his own tongue over teeth that had been fixed and replaced God knew how many times. They both took off everything and Rozanov fell on top of Shane, kissing him and moving a hand down to grasp his already embarrassingly rigid cock. Shane arched up into his touch, making stupid, desperate noises. Don't worry, Hollander, Rozanov said, his lips brushing against Shane's ear. I am going to fuck you like you want, yes? Yes, Shane exhaled, a mixture of relief and humiliation sweeping through him. I feel bad for my family and my neighbors who are just listening to me reading through this shit. Like, as I said earlier, reading this book is a humiliation ritual. And like, this is my third time reading through this book. First, I read it, and I read it in a single day. Then I took the highlights, which almost should count as a reading, and now I'm reading it again. At this point, I just feel like I'm going insane. Rozanov was a stunning man. Light brown curls that were always a mess fell into his playful hazel eyes and over his dark, thick eyebrows. His strong jaw and cleft chin were covered in stubble. His smile was lopsided and lazy, and his teeth were unnaturally wide due to most of them not being real. You know, if I was doing a proper review of this book, I would be shit-talking a lot of these things. Like, just in last passage, we learned about his teeth. And now we're learning about that again. And what was that about his feelings being a mixture of humiliation and relief? Those two things don't go together. Anyways, we won't be doing that because we are here for the smut. And we will just stay at the smut. His nose was crooked, having been broken more than a few times, but the fucking thing only made him look more rugged. And for a Russian living in Boston, his skin was a lot more golden than it had any right to be. Shane fucking hated him, but Rozanov was really good at sucking cock, and he was, for whatever reason, willing. Shane hated this, but he had taken great pains to protect it, and he would continue doing so as long as Rozanov was willing. Their lives being what they were, this was not an easy thing to get. Maybe when they had started 7 years ago, they hadn't expected their lives, their famous rivalry, to get to the point it was at now. Maybe they should have stopped by now. Rozanov worked his talented mouth on Shane's cock, and Shane tossed the lube down to the bed from the well-stocked nightstand. Rozanov took it without pausing what he was doing and poured some on his fingers so he could get to work opening Shane up. This was never Shane's favorite part, but he felt so fucking vulnerable. He felt weak and ridiculous every time they were together like this, but he always felt it most acutely when Rozanov had his fingers inside him. As a result, the preparation usually took a while. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. Rosanov started to move and Shane cried out. It never took long for him to just give in and start moaning and gasping and asking for more. Fuck Hollander, you love it. Shane responded by turning. He was sure beat red, but he couldn't deny it. Like, while I was reading this book, I could never tell if the smut was intentionally funny or if it was just me who was finding it funny. He's fucking him, right? And trying to sound sexy. I don't know what he's trying to sound like. And then he just turns around to look at him. Yeah, I think I'm just going insane. Shane really hoped no one could hear them. When Rosanov reached around to take Shane's cock in his slick hand, Shane became desperate for release and started bucking back against him. This was the point where he was always reminded why he couldn't give this up. It was too good. You're gonna come for me, Hollander? Hollander was going to. And he did. He punched the mattress and swore loudly and coated Rosanov's fist with his release. Ew. I'm just gonna say ew and move on. Afterwards, they lay on their backs next to each other and Shane felt the familiar aftermath of guilt and shame creep in. Well, you wanted something tonight. Rosanov mused. God, fuck off. Shane lifted his arm to flip him off, but Rosanov grabbed his wrist and pulled him over so Shane was on top of his chest, looking down at him. Rosanov's playful smirk faded as he held Shane's gaze and Shane felt suddenly breathless. Like again, he's just sitting on top of him and he's just looking at him and he's suddenly breathless. You are very beautiful, Rosanov said suddenly. It was very matter-of-factly. Shane wasn't sure how to react. They didn't really say these things to each other. Not like that. I have to go, Rosanov said, and he sounded like he truly regretted it. Shower first, but then I have to get back to the hotel. I know. They showered together and Shane dropped to his knees because he couldn't let Rosanov go without tasting him. Rosanov laughed. You need to get laid, Hollander. Waiting for a quick fuck every couple of months is not healthy. I'm not waiting, Shane said. He is. It wasn't quite a lie. He obviously wasn't 100% straight, but having sex with women didn't repulse him. It just didn't do it for him like men did. One man in particular. Rosanov rested a hand on Shane's face and tipped his head back. He looked at him fondly, with a little smile on his lips, and then he kissed him. I have ruined you, Rosanov said when they broke apart. No one else will do. God, fuck off. Such a mouth on you. Don't say it. I preferred it when it was on me. Damn it, Rosanov. Shane pushed the other man back against the shower wall and kissed him aggressively. Was it me tonight? What was you? Distracting you on the ice tonight? It took Shane a moment to realize what he was suggesting. Fuck you. Rosanov's smile spread. Couldn't play at all thinking about my dick, right? Good night, Rosanov. He would sell the building and he would stay in his goddamn hotel room when he played in Boston and not slip out into the night to Rosanov's penthouse. He would end this and he would move on. He realized as he was making this plan that he was brushing his fingertips over his lips. They still tingled from the memory of the other man's mouth pressed against them. He knew making plans to end this was pointless. As long as this was being offered, Shane would never be able to say no. That was a lot for a prologue, honestly. But considering this is a smut book, I'll just let that go. But still, it was a lot. For my taste. The main issue that I usually have when I'm reading romance novels is that the characters are never really fully fleshed out. And we just get really descriptive sex scenes. And in this book, they're just straight up hilarious. They're not even remotely romantic. Like, this book displays a perfectly set up conflict, but we never really get to know these characters as well as I'd like them to be. But again, this is a romance novel and usually authors don't give a shit about the characters. They just give a shit about how big their dick is. Part 1. December 2008, Regina. It was 2 days before Christmas, but for the world's best teenage hockey players, Christmas meant the World Junior Hockey Championship. For Ilya, it meant the chance to finally get a first-hand look at Shane Hollander. I want to mention that I also read this book on 23rd of December, so when I read this part, I was like a little bit gagged. There had been much made of the 17-year-old Canadian phenom. Ilya was sick of hearing the name, which had caused such a stir in the hockey world that even Moscow wasn't far enough to escape the hype. Both Ilya and Hollander were eligible for the NHL entry draft that coming June, and they were already expected to be the number 1 and 2 overall picks. He would start by leading Russia to a gold medal victory here in Hollander's own country. Then he would lead his team back in Moscow to their championship, and then surely he would be chosen first in the draft. This was the year of Ilya Rozanov. Since he was 12 years old, 2009 had always been the year he was expected to burst into the world stage. No Canadian pretender would change that. The Canadian pretender is going to be in your bed though. Let's talk about that. Halfway through the practice, Ilya noticed a young man sitting a few rows down the penalty box, wearing a Team Canada ball cap and jacket. He was flanked by a man and a woman who were probably his parents. It was hard to tell from the eyes, but Ilya thought it might be Hollander. His mother was Japanese or something, right? He was sure he had read that somewhere. He didn't like that Hollander, if that was Hollander, was here watching them. Or maybe he did. Maybe Hollander was nervous about facing him later in the tournament. Maybe he felt threatened. He should. Not too much on someone whose dick you'll be sucking in a few chapters. Ilya shrugged and made his way to a vending machine. He bought himself a bottle of coke. He bought himself a bottle of Coke and wondered if he could slip outside for a quick smoke before getting back on the bus. You're supposed to smoke over there, someone said. It took Ilya a moment to translate all the words. He turned to see the person that he now definitely recognized as Shane Hollander. He had a very distinct look. Some of his features were clearly from his mother, jet black hair and very dark eyes, but his father was of some bland Anglo-European heritage, so Hollander didn't look exactly Asian. His skin, however, was flawless, distractingly so. So Hollander didn't look exactly Asian, his skin, however, was flawless? Does Rachel think that Asians don't have flawed skin? Like, look at me. Am I not Asian enough in Rachel's books? Am I white? Maybe. I think I should change my name to Becky with the good hair. What? Ilya said. Even the single word sounded stupid with his accent. The smoking area is over there. Hollander pointed to a far corner of the parking lot, next to the large snowbank. It looked very windy there. Ilya settled back against the wall and lit his cigarette. This fucking country. Bad enough he couldn't smoke indoors anywhere. He needed to go sit in the fucking snow while he did it. I'm surprised you smoke, Hollander said. Okay. Ilya said, exhaling a long stream of smoke between his lips. I wanted to meet you, he said, extending his hand. Shane Hollander. It's actually really cute how enthusiastic he is about seeing him, and this man is just like a total bitch towards him. Ilya stared at him and then felt his lips twitch a bit. Okay, that was a bit fruity, what lips are we talking about? Yes, he said. He pinched the cigarette between his lips and shook Hollander's hand. You're an awesome player to watch, Hollander said. I know. If Hollander was expecting Ilya to return the compliment, he was going to be waiting a long damn time. Your parents are here? For this? Yeah, they're here. They always try to come and see me play wherever I go. Nice for you. Yeah, I know. They're great. Ilya didn't have anything to add to that. I should probably go. They're waiting for me, Hollander said. He moved away from the wall and turned to face Ilya. Ilya's eyes went right to those damn freckles. Hollander stuck out his hand again. Ilya accepted the handshake and grinned. You will not be very friendly when we beat you. That's not happening. Alan, that's not what's happening. You guys are going to be beating a lot of each other. Just in the wrong places. In the car, Shane told his parents that he had been talking to Ilya Rozanov. What's he like? His mother asked. Kind of a dick, Shane said. And you'll be riding that dick, so what's good? When the final game of the tournament was over, the Canadian team had to suffer one more humiliation. I am suffering the humiliation of reading through this. It wasn't supposed to have gone like this. He was supposed to have led his country to gold in his country. It was what the nation had expected. Canada's hope had been heaped into the 17-year-old's shoulders, and he had let them down. Every face-off he had taken against Rozanov, the Russian had looked him dead in the eye and smirked. Shane was not easily shaken by anyone, but that goddamn smirk threw him off balance every time. When I was reading this part, I was taken back a little bit. This is a smut novel, right? And I just feel really weird reading about these people when they were, teenagers. I just felt like it was really weird. And by the way, the first time that they do it, they're still very young. They're 19. That's like babies to me. June 2009, Los Angeles. Shane, could you move a little closer to Ilya, please? Shane felt Ilya Rozanov's arm brush against his as he stepped closer to him for the photographer. That's perfect. Alright, smile boys. Shane had spent the past 6 years since the World Juniors being a little bit obsessed with Ilya Rozanov. They had quite a bit in common career-wise. They were both the captains of their respective teams and had both led their teams to a championship this season. The only difference between them was that Shane had a silver medal at home and Rozanov had gold. And now Shane had come in second place again after a life of always coming first in hockey. This fucking guy will be fucking you. Adding to the drama of the day was the fact that Rozanov had been drafted by Montreal's arch rivals, the Boston Bears. Shane knew his career was now going to be inescapably linked to Rozanov's. Shane felt short. He had turned 18 last month, but he felt like a kid. Rozanov had turned 18 too just last week, which Shane knew because he was obsessed with him. That night in his private hotel room, his proud parents were across the hall. Shane couldn't sleep. He wasn't sulking, not really. He was just bothered by something. Perhaps by some Russian man. He sighed and rolled out of bed. He threw on on some sweats and his sneakers, and headed down to the hotel gym. Maybe he could shut his mind off with some exercise. The gym was mercifully empty. Shane stepped onto one of the two treadmills and started running at a gentle pace. He didn't wear headphones, he just lost himself in the noise of the machine. He didn't notice when someone else entered the gym. He only realized that he wasn't alone when the other man stepped onto the treadmill next to him. Ilya Rozanov gave him a quick nod and turned to face the white wall at the front of the room as he started running alongside Shane. Shane tried to ignore Rozanov's presence. There was nothing weird about it. He must have been having trouble sleeping too. Rozanov increased the speed on his machine. He didn't glance at Shane at all because Shane was petty and competitive. He increased the speed on his own machine just a little faster than Rozanov's. Within a minute, Rozanov did the same thing, raising the bar and silently waiting for Shane to match. Shane glanced over and saw a slight smirk on Rozanov's lips. Shane shook his head and fought his own smile. He cranked up the speed. They kept at that pace for another minute or two, and Shane finally slammed his hand on the emergency stop button and stumbled off. He leaned against the back wall, gasping for breath before sliding down to sit on the floor. Rozanov stopped his own machine and was holding onto the console for sport. Fuck. Shane wheezed. Rozanov laughed and sat himself on the floor against the wall facing Shane. Rozanov's gray sleeveless shirt was soaked through with sweat. They both sat with their legs sprawled out in front of them. Rozanov's sneakers were almost touching Shane's ankle. Rozanov ran a hand through his damp hair in a move that was more interesting to Shane than it should have been. Rozanov was so masculine. Shane was baby-faced and short and couldn't grow proper facial hair and barely had any chest hair. Rozanov was almost exactly the same age as him, but he looked like he had crossed over a magical line to adulthood. This was so, I don't know, I just felt very weird because these people are literally children in this scene. I don't know. Weird. What a fucking day, huh? Rozanov said. Yeah, totally. Everything you dreamed of. Shane looked him dead in the eye, almost. Rozanov grinned back. Sorry I ruined your big day. Fuck off. You know, we spend a lot of time with these characters, like several days throughout this book. And the only personality trait that I can remember of Shane, and mind you, I'm reading this book for the third time, I can only remember that he says fuck off every 3 sentences. And I wish we got anything else. Like, I know he's on the spectrum and all that, but even that, it's not very well executed, in my opinion. I don't want you guys to yell at me. I just felt like it could be done a bit better. They were silent a moment and then Rozanov tapped Shane's ankle with the bottom of his sneaker. Hey, we will see a lot of each other. It took Shane a minute. Oh yeah, Montreal and Boston play a lot against each other. Should be interesting. Rozanov took a long haul from his water bottle. Shane pretended he was only looking longingly at the way his throat worked because he had forgotten to bring a bottle for himself. It wasn't until Rozanov's Adam's apple stopped bobbing and his lips were dark and glistening that Shane realized he was staring. The lips quirked up a bit, and Rozanov extended his arm, offering Shane his bottle. Oh, I'm alright, thanks. Rozanov shook the bottle at him and Shane took it. He needed water. It would be dumb to refuse. It was the first time that Shane felt it. It was like the air in the room had thickened. Everything inside him was buzzing and on edge, like he was about to jump out of a plane. He didn't know if Rozanov felt anything, but in that moment, Shane wanted something. He couldn't even name it. I could, but I will keep my silence. He passed the water bottle back, and this time he could swear Rozanov let his fingers brush Shane's wrist on purpose. It was a moment that seemed to last forever, but was probably less than a second. Shane wanted Rozanov to touch him again. Shane wanted to touch him back. Maybe Shane wanted to kiss him, even though he couldn't name it. A while ago, Shane scrambled to his feet. I'm going to bed, I guess. I guess I'll see you around, right? Rozanov looked up at him from the floor. You will be seeing plenty of me. Shane nodded and left the room as fast as he could. He waited until he was back in his room before he let himself freak out. What the fuck was that? He had never... Jesus Christ, he had a girlfriend. He wasn't a girlfriend you are hoping will break up with you. She didn't even come on this trip to see you get drafted. But he could get in the shower and jerk off and try like hell to think about his girlfriend or any girl, anything other than those red wet lips and the dark stubble and those hazel eyes. For the rest of his life, Shane Hollander would have to live with the fact that he had ended his NHL draft day by getting himself off to thoughts of Ilya Rozanov. December 2009, Ottawa. Ilya watched the red glowing numbers on his hotel room's alarm clock flick from 11:56 to 11:57. His room was completely dark. His roommate was down the hall along with half the team watching the American New Year's Eve celebration on television. Happy New Year, he muttered to himself. He sat up on the bed and grabbed the package of nicotine gum off his nightstand. He popped a piece in his mouth and frowned as he chewed it. He could hear fireworks outside and his teammates teammates cheering in the rooms around him. He wanted a real secret, he wanted to fuck someone, he wanted to go down to the hotel gym and find Shane Hollander on a treadmill. That night in the hotel gym in Los Angeles 6 months ago now, Ilya had very nearly embarrassed himself. He probably could have covered it up with his usual cocky charm, but he had been damn close to flirting with Hollander or possibly just pressing him against a wall and taking his mouth. The thing was, he wasn't so sure that Hollander would have hated it, unless Ilya was very bad at reading people, and he definitely wasn't. Hollander probably would have kissed him right back. Fuck. Anyway, Russia was undefeated in the tournament so far, Canada was also undefeated. Only one team would stay that way until the end. Ilya had more important things to think about than freckles and polite Canadian boys. But you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna be thinking about those damn freckles and polite Canadian boys. And now it was the night before the gold medal game, and Canada would be facing Russia for the second year in a row, and Shane would be facing Ilya Rozanov. He hadn't seen Rozanov at all for this entire tournament. So Shane had gone back to life as usual after that night. Well, he'd broken up with his girlfriend, but that had been overdue anyway. There was one other thing that had changed. Shane had found himself noticing men. Not his teammates or his friends or anyone like that, just like a guy at the airport, Starbucks, or the guy who'd been in the cereal aisle of the grocery store in Kingston a few weeks ago, or the guy who was on Friday Night Lights. He'd been hooking up with girls, plenty of girls, like at least 2 girls since breaking up with his girlfriend. Not like all the way sex, but sex stuff. He had definitely been blown by 2 different girls since July, and he had enjoyed it with his head tilted back and his eyes closed. And he hadn't thought about Ilya Rozanov's dark wet lips or his crooked smile at all. Are you getting tired of second place? Rozanov smirked. I'm winning this game, Shane growled. There is not an I in team right. There is an I in suck my dick. Rozanov raised an eyebrow as they bent for the face-off. There is also an I in silver, he said. Shane made sure he won the face-off, and he made sure he was exactly where he needed to be to score a goal 40 seconds later, and he made sure they won that game. For all his cockiness and teasing, Ilya took hockey very seriously, and he hated to lose. But this time he had lost, and he would be going back to Russia with a silver medal. He wasn't proud of it. He didn't want to return to Russia at all. He wanted to stay in North America and start the next phase of his life. He didn't want to hear his father, who likely hadn't even watched any of the games, shame him for not bringing home a gold medal. We will get to that later, the whole deal he has with his father and his family in Russia. On the ice in the lineup to shake hands at the end of the game, Hollander had looked into Ilya's eyes. It had only been for a second, but it had felt like everything around them had frozen and fallen silent. Hollander's damp, sweaty hand had wrapped itself around Ilya's damp, sweaty hand, and when their eyes had locked, he squeezed Ilya's fingers just a little. That look and that squeeze said so many things to Ilya. I know, we were supposed to stand alone at the top, but we will always be there together. We will keep climbing until no one else can reach us, but it will always be together. After a few minutes, he felt the unmistakable presence of Rozanov at the end of the beach. He turned and saw him standing there, huge and handsome and also wearing makeup. Very pretty. Rozanov teased him like a doll. You're painted up too. And Shane, you better paint. I feel crazy. My embarrassment is immeasurable and my days have been ruined. Rozanov leaned on the top of the boards and grinned. Yes, but I'm not pretty. Shane rolled his eyes. He had been called pretty boys a few times before, usually during games, and he hated it. He wished he hated it this time. But he didn't. Girl, stand up. You're supposed to be enemies. Try not to laugh, fellas, the director said. I know it'll be challenging. Laughing was not what Shane was worried about. He needed to relax his eyes so Rozanov's features blurred. He needed to relax his eyes so Rozanov's features blurred, just to keep himself from staring at the man's lips. A little more intensity in your eyes if you could, Shane. The director was just messy as hell for clocking his tea right there like that. Shane blinked and tried his best to stare Rozanov down. Like it was a real game, but a real game would only require him to hold this position for a few seconds. This was awkward. The director thanked them both, and the 2 hockey players were left to get showered and changed in the dingy dressing room. Shane undressed quickly and went into the shower, which was like most rings, communal style with a row of shower heads facing each other on both sides of a corridor. If he had hurried, maybe he could be out of the shower before Rozanov came in. No such luck. Shane had just got on his hair when Rozanov entered the showers and stood under one almost directly across from him. Shane's eyes landed on the large spear tattoo on Rosanov's left pec. It was absolutely ridiculous. He also noticed the gold crucifix that he guessed the guy never took off. Shane quickly turned his eyes to the floor. He had showered with hundreds of guys in his life, in rooms just like this one. It was just part of the game. He had never looked at any of his fellow players before. It was just unthinkable. He glanced up again and saw that Rozanov had turned his back to him. Shane was left to stare helplessly at the display of naked rippling muscle. You know, when people often complain that this book is very unrealistic, I get that. So, you're telling me that this alleged man whore has been in rooms like this with hundreds of guys in his life and he never noticed their ass? Something is not adding up, Miss Rachel. He glanced up again and saw that Rozanov had turned his back to him. Shane was left to stare helplessly at the display of naked rippling muscle. His eyes trailed over Rozanov's broad shoulders and down the muscles of his back down to his tapered waist and his... dot dot dot. Shane blushed hard. He couldn't. Why would he want to check out another guy's ass? That was just weird. It was a really impressive ass. Not that he was comparing it to others, it was just perfect. And as Rozanov scrubbed water over his face, the muscles in his ass flexed and Shane was transfixed and aroused, visibly aroused, in a shower with Rozanov. And in simpler words, Rozanov's pussy was clenched and Shane's dick was visibly aroused in the showers with Rozanov. He only had time to look down at his sickening cock with horror before he noticed that Rozanov had turned back around. You know, as I mentioned earlier, this shit is just funny to me because when I picture this whole thing playing in my head, it's just very funny. You know, you can just imagine a person standing there and they're looking at a guy's ass like this, like a fucking creep, and suddenly they turn around and they're visibly shocked at their own dick. That's just funny. That's just very stupid. And mind you, the rest of the book is exactly like this. Every time they are doing this, it's always written like this. I don't know I don't understand the target audience. Who gets off to stuff like this? I'm not a Fujo. I don't think I'm supposed to get it anyways. And if you're one of those Fujos, please, I'm begging you to comment down below and tell me how is this appealing to any of you. Rozanov glanced down at Shane's crotch and raised an eyebrow. You got your dick thickening for me, huh? Fuck off, Shane grumbled. It's nothing. Like what you see, Hollander? No, it's not. I was thinking about something else. Shane wanted to die. He knew he didn't sound at all convincing. Something else? Shane should have just left the showers then. He was clean enough. This was torture. But Rozanov was grinning at him in a way that was not helping Shane's situation, and Shane didn't seem to have the ability to move. Rozanov was teasing him, but he wasn't punching him in the face, and he wasn't bleeding either. Just another goddamn thing for you to hold me over, Shane thought. He was so busy being mortified that he didn't immediately notice that Rozanov's own dick was starting to swell. The grin had faded from Rozanov's face. His eyes were full of an intensity that was much more heated than what Shane had been facing during their photo shoot. Shane needed to get out of here. This was too bizarre. He absolutely could not do whatever this was. But Rozanov let a hand trail down his stomach and wrapped it around his own dick to give it a slow, firm stroke. It feels like I'm having a stroke reading through this. Shane gasped loud enough that the running water couldn't mask it. You know how fucking loud these showers are? And he gasped so loud that the running water couldn't mask it. He saw a man jerking himself off, and he gasped so loud that waters couldn't conceal it. And then he proceeds to ask, "What were you thinking about?" Rozanov asked, his voice low. Shane swallowed. His throat was bone dry. "Just open your mouth." "You," he said quietly. Rozanov heard him and smirked. He gave himself another stroke. "You want to touch me, Hollander?" Shane actually just wanted to watch Rozanov jerk himself off, but not here. Shane stammered. Someone could come in. Rozanov nodded and released himself. He turned and shut off the water. Rozanov was already half dressed and sitting shirtless on one of the benches. "Look," Shane said to the floor, "we can just pretend that never happened, okay? Is that what you want?" Shane's answer should have been a lot faster. Yeah, of course. Rozanov stood and crossed the floor until he stood right in front of Shane. "You are a bad liar." Shane scowled at him. "What is your room number?" Rozanov asked. 1410. Shane said far too quickly. Rozanov's mouth twitched up. "If I knock on door of room 1410 tonight, maybe around 9. Shane vowed to keep his voice even. "I might open the door." Rozanov smiled. "I might knock." Shane spent the evening freaking the fuck out in his hotel room. He could stay and just ignore Rosanov's knock. There could be something satisfying in that, give him a little bit of power over him. He could open the door when he knocked, invite him in, and they could talk about this whole ridiculous misunderstanding. Then they could go their separate ways forever. Or he could open the door and he could spend the evening exploring Rosanov's body with his mouth. Shane blushed just thinking about it. He couldn't really want that, could he? The knock came at 7 minutes after 9 o'clock. Shane checked the peephole just to make sure Rozanov wasn't pranking him or anything. It was just Rozanov alone. Rozanov looked like he may have put a little effort into his appearance too. He was wearing a black button-up shirt, his gold chain blinking at Shane from the wide open collar. His hair, which was usually a mess of curls, had been tamed a bit, though one lock had already escaped and was tumbling adorably onto Rosanov's forehead. Thought you might have chickened out, Rosanov said in his infuriatingly blunt manner. No, Shane said. I mean, I just want to talk, okay? You know, I do know, yes. Do you want to sit, maybe? Rosanov took a step toward him. Not really. I don't think this is a good idea, Shane said weakly. What? Rosanov said, tucking a knuckle under Shane's chin and tilting this up. This? He brought his mouth down on Shane's and Shane fluttered with panic. He was stiff against Rosanov, lips pressed together, eyes open, but Rosanov persisted. Shane felt the tip of Rosanov's tongue trace against the outline of his lips, seeking intrigue. Long fingers threaded into his hair, and Shane surrendered. He parted his lips and closed his eyes, and Rosanov deepened the kiss, pushing between his lips and pressing his tongue to Shane's. Okay, alright. Good for you, whatever. Shane felt like he was made of alarm bells, like his panic was going to somehow wake up the entire hotel. If it was just that he was kissing a man, he might be able to get a grip, but kissing this man in particular was so absurd and wrong, wrong, wrong. But his dick didn't seem to, but his dick didn't seem to think so, especially not when Rosanov wedged a knee between his legs and rubbed a thigh against Shane's arousal. Shane whimpered and Rosanov tipped his head back further, using his height and coming down hard on Shane's open mouth. Fuck, this was really gay. Rozanov didn't seem troubled, though instead he was pulling his own shirt off and reaching to cradle Shane's face with his hand. Shane turned his eyes up and Rozanov was looking down at him with dark eyes, his mouth slack and lips swollen. His face was pure desire. With shaky hands he pulled Rozanov's jeans and briefs down and lined up his mouth with his thick... With shaky hands he pulled Rozanov's jeans and briefs down and lined up his mouth with his thick, rigid cock. He took a breath and very carefully pressed his tongue to the head. Yes, Hollander, Rozanov hissed. It tasted like skin. I really found this specific part very funny because, like, the author didn't even bother to come up with a metaphor or anything other than just skin. She was like, hair, damn. Anyways, moving forward, he sighed around Rosanov's cock. Why is he sighing around his cock? He's like, I guess we gotta do this. And bobbed his head slightly, losing himself in the slide of rigid flesh against his tongue. He was sure he was doing a terrible job and his fears were confirmed as Rozanov suddenly yelled. Stop, stop, stop. Sorry, Shane said. I've never. Rozanov laughed. It's okay. He waved a hand around as if trying to physically grab the English words he was looking for. It was too much. Oh, Shane felt that he had barely done anything. Have you been thinking about this? Rozanov gave a crooked grin and shrugged. I like trouble. Shane laughed. Well, I think we found it. You have not done this, Rozanov said plainly. With a man? No, have you? Rozanov looked at him and Shane knew he was deciding whether or not he could trust him. And then he must have realized it was too late anyway if he didn't. He nodded. In Russia. My coach's son. Did you like sucking my dick? Oh, those English words, you know? Rozanov flicked under Shane's ear and Shane gasped. Did you like it? Rozanov asked again. Shane swallowed his saliva and his pride. Yes. Would you like me to lie on the bed and let you do it some more? Let me? Rozanov chuckled against Shane's neck. I'm a nice guy. Once again, Shane felt very young, very boyish. He realized that he was still mostly dressed and he wasn't sure if he should change that or not. Rozanov made the decision for him. This is a bit not fair. He moved a hand to the air back and forth between them. You want me to? Duh, yes, let me see you. You've already seen me in the shower. I want a better look. Shane stood with his arms out. Well? Rozanov grinned and waved a hand over his own chest. So smooth. Look, like a swimmer. I don't. It's natural, alright? Yes, come here. Rozanov patted the bed next to him. Shane was still staring at the mess on Rozanov's stomach. His own cock was like iron. She went to Sarah J. Maas School of Metaphors for Dick. Cause like, iron, seriously? He thought about stroking himself until he came on Rozanov. He thought about Rozanov putting his mouth on him. Okay, well, good night, Rozanov said and moved to get up. Shane's mouth dropped open and he was about to be furious when he noticed that playful, crooked grin. Fuck you, Shane said. Did you need something? Rozanov asked innocently. Lie down, Rozanov instructed. Shane did. Rozanov crawled on top of him and kissed him. You think I am an asshole? Rozanov said. You are an asshole. I would not leave you like that. No? He kissed him again. No. As they kissed, Rozanov reached a hand down and gripped Shane's cock. Shane gasped into his mouth. Let me show you, Rozanov murmured, how to do this. He said, let the throat goat do the job. Looks like the man whore has been out-whored. Oh god, Rozanov, I'm gonna. He expected Rozanov to get the hell out of the way, but instead he sucked him harder and Shane emptied himself into his mouth. A stream of nonsense fell out of Shane's mouth. Holy shit, I'm sorry. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Fuck, wow, god. Shane was so gagged. He was like, I didn't know that could be done. You could do that? You know you could do that. I didn't know that was happening. When Rozanov was fully dressed, he gave Shane one of his playful, crooked smiles. Shane had managed to put his underwear back on, but other than that, was still naked. My flight is early tomorrow. There was maybe a note of apology in it, or maybe Shane was imagining things. Alright, Rozanov nodded. I'll see you around. September 2010, Montreal. On the television, the Sports Center anchors were talking about Ilya Rozanov. Shane hadn't seen or spoken to Rozanov since their encounter in the Toronto hotel room over 2 months ago. He would like to be able to say that he hadn't thought of him either, but that would be far from the truth. He was watching the television entranced, but not listening to a word of the interview. He didn't snap out of it until he heard Rozanov say without a trace of irony, the Bears will be happy with me this season. I will score 50 goals. 50 goals? The stunned interviewer asked. Are you fucking kidding me? Shane asked at home. Yes, by the end of February, Rozanov said. Shane had every intention of scoring at least as many goals himself, but he certainly wasn't going to announce it. Do you feel the pressure to outperform Shane Hollander this season? The interviewer asked. Who? Fuck you, Rozanov. Rozanov looked directly at the camera and Shane froze. He can't see you, dummy. He watched Rozanov wink at the camera and Shane's eyes narrowed. He was going to shut this fucker up when their teams finally met. Like, that is literally the only good thing in this book, that the banter stays. The banter persists. Shane was the only child of Una and David Hollander, and they had given him all the support in the world. Shane loved them, and he knew how lucky he was. He definitely wouldn't be where he was without them. Have you had any friends over yet? She asked. One guy, Hayden, Hayden Pike, the rookie, left wing, played in the Quebec League for Drummondville, Mom recited. Yes? Yeah, he came over to check the place out one night before we went out with some of the other guys. He seems like a nice boy, Mom said. I saw him interviewed. Anyway, Dad said, what were we talking about, Rozanov? We're not worried about Rozanov, right? He's a dirty player, Mom growled. He's a good player is what he is. Shane sighed. Not as good as you, not in any category. Mom said firmly, he's bigger than me. You're faster than him. Maybe. There are layers to this that his parents simply won't understand, and honestly, massive respect for them. I wish I didn't know them as well. He's better at blowjobs than me. The thought crashed the front of Shane's brain and he quickly grabbed for his water glass, nearly knocking it over. The crowd was so fucking loud, the city was nuts. Will you disappoint them, Hollander? No. They bent for the face-off. Ilya wished he didn't have the mouth guard in because he would have loved to do something distracting and sexy with his tongue. He probably should have been focusing more on the puck and less on bothering Hollander because he lost their first face-off and that was something he'd never get back. Ilya scowled at the ceiling of his Montreal hotel room. He was furious with himself, not at his team, at himself for losing this first match against Hollander. He didn't know what to do with this anger. It was not the best moment for his phone to ring. It was his goddamn brother, Andre. What do you want? Andre was quiet. Ilya's heart sank. Is dead. Fine. Why wouldn't he be? Do you need money then? Ilya asked. It was the only other possible reason for Andre's call. Just not much, like 20,000. He knew what his brother was like. He was either making a bad investment or had already made a bad investment or was gambling or something else that a police officer really shouldn't be doing. I gave you 10,000 like 2 months ago. Where the fuck is that? Lie, Ilya. Like I said, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important, Ilya. Ilya rolled his eyes at the phone. He should say no. He should say no. He didn't owe his asshole brother a goddamn thing. But if he said no, then his father would call next to give him the speech about family and being a good son. And as much as Ilya hated Andre, he was still his brother. But this was the last fucking time. Like, Ilya has a really terrible family. He doesn't have that by the end of this book, which is really great, but he does deal with it every now and then through this book. He turned on the television and there was Shane fucking Hollander's face filling the screen, all sweaty and flushed and happy, answering questions in perfect goddamn French. Ilya wouldn't even say a basic English sentence without sounding like a cartoon villain. He hated his stupid accent, he hated his asshole family. He told himself the twisted feeling in his stomach was just jealousy, but he was terrified that it was something much, much worse. January 2011, Nashville. He had expected to be on a team with Hollanders since they played in the same conference, but the league had decided to change it up this year and have North American players form one team and European players form the other. No secret as to why. The league couldn't get enough of the Rosanov-Hollander rivalry. Ilya was close to making good on this promise to score 50 goals by the end of February. He had already scored 38, Hollander had scored 41. Fucking Hollander. Ilya wondered what Hollander was doing right now. He wondered if there were any cute girls at his hotel bar. Was Hollander in his own room lying on his bed? Was he wondering what Ilya was doing? Why was Shane Hollander so fucking hard to shake? They'd hooked up once, months ago. It had been a mistake, obviously. Was it? We'll find out. Saturday morning, the day of the All-Star Skill competition, he had received a phone call from someone from the NHL's PR office telling him there was a short press conference scheduled for that afternoon, 2 o'clock. It would be just him and Ilya Rozanov. Why? Shane had asked. It's your all-star game. You're both having legendary rookie seasons, and besides, the press loved the idea of getting you two together. Shane had flushed a little. Ilya, one reporter said, you announced at the beginning of the season that you would score 50 goals by the end of February. You've scored 38 so far. Do you think you'll keep your promise? Rozanov took a moment to reply. Shane wondered if he was working through all the English words. Yes, Rozanov finally answered. There was scattered laughter when it became clear that he wasn't going to elaborate. Shane, you've scored 41 goals this year already. Do you think you'll beat Rozanov to 50? I don't really think about stuff like that. Shane said carefully, this is a team sport, and I'm happy when my team is doing well. I just try to contribute. Shane watched the way Rozanov was slowly rubbing the knuckle of his forefinger with his thumb. He probably didn't even realize he was doing it. Rozanov had nice hands. Shane? Sorry. Shane snapped his eyes forward. Just a quick note from Toronto Star. Would you like to play on an all-star team with Ilya in the future? Oh sure, yeah, I mean, he took a breath. Ilya's a great player. Ilya? Same question. If Hollander does not mind me being starting center, yes. Both Montreal and Boston have been out of the playoffs for 3 seasons now. Do you guys feel the pressure to restore your team's legacies even this early in your careers? He said, I cannot speak for Rozanov or what it's like in Boston, but I know the fans in Montreal love their team and definitely are expecting us to turn things around and get back in the playoffs and win some cups. And I feel the exact same way. So I guess my answer is that I don't really feel any pressure that I'm not already putting on myself. He hoped that satisfied him. Unfortunately, the reporter didn't pick up on the fact that Rozanov was clearly struggling with understanding the question and said, Ilya? Rozanov said, what Hollander said yes. Under the table, he felt Rozanov's foot tap against his own. It was the chastest contact in the world, but it still made Shane's heart stop. You know what? I'll give her that. This was cute. Going to bed early tonight, I think. Rozanov said suddenly. Shane's mouth went a little dry. Oh, yes. They stood in silence watching the action on the ice. Loud music blared and the crowd cheered as another record was broken. Rozanov leaned down. His breath ghosted over Shane's ear when he said in low voice, 12:21. The fuck did Rozanov want? Said Liam Casey, a defenseman for Pittsburgh. Nothing. Shane said quickly, just shit talking, Guy's a fucking asshole. Yeah, he said. In the show, they changed this a little bit, and Scott Hunter says the lines instead of this random character that I don't even think even shows up in the rest of the book, which I think was really great. Ilya wasn't surprised at all when the knock came. He looked terrified. Is there a ghost out there? Ilya asked amused. They changed this up in the show, and he actually asks him if someone is chasing him, which I think is funnier in the show than here. No, fuck you. This is fucking dangerous, and you know it. Is it? We are not doing anything. You came anyway, he said. Yeah, Hollander said, his voice died and full of forced courage. I guess I did. Ilya nodded and then Hollander swore under his breath and lunged forward to kiss him. He grabbed Ilya's t-shirt in a tight fist and pulled him closer. On your knees, Ilya said softly just to see what he would do. Expecting Hollander to tell him to fuck off, Ilya's breath caught in his throat as he watched him sink fluidly to the floor. He gazed up at Ilya, those onyx eyes, always so sharp, were hazy with desire. Hollander leaned forward to nuzzle and mouth at the bulge in Ilya's sweatpants. Okay, Ilya has always been this way. He loved sex and he loved it more when it was dangerous, when it was with someone he knew he shouldn't be with. Whether that was his coach's son, or his brother's girlfriend, or his teammate's sister, Ilya couldn't resist a bad idea, and Shane Hollander was a bad fucking idea. The worst idea. Wrong in every way imaginable. 2 men, 2 NHL players poised to be the 2 biggest stars in the league soon enough. 2 bitter rivals on opposing teams that had hated each other for almost 100 years. I'm not into hockey at all. I have no idea about hockey culture. But the way these people talk about hockey, I don't know why these people always talk about themselves like this thing that everyone knows about. Like a hockey player could walk down the street and I would have no idea who that person is. Girl, ain't nobody got time for that. Let's be for real. Like, we literally saw a prince falling in love with a guy in Young Royals, like, just 2 years ago. I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal, okay? I don't know. Plus, Ilya hated this guy. He hated his pretty boy face and his perfect goddamn English and his perfect goddamn French and his loving parents and his polite little manners and his $1,000,000 smile. He hated how serious he was, how earnest. Ilya kissed his dumb mouth and swallowed his stupid little sighs and felt his annoying fingers in his hair. He pulled back so he could look at his horrible face with its ridiculous freckles. Fuck. Ilya kissed him again so he wouldn't have to think about him. He wanted to fuck him. God, would Hollander let him fuck him? Have you ever? Ilya asked. Hollander shook his head. Would you like to? I don't know. You are scared. No, no, I'm not scared. It's okay to be. Hollander exhaled loudly. I'm not scared, he said again. You don't play with your ass. It makes you gay. Oh my fucking god. You know what makes you gay? Rosanov, shut the fuck up. Suck in my dick. You were doing that a minute ago. Hollander sat up. I've played with it, alright? I've got a thing. A thing? A dildo, okay? Rosanov grinned so hard it hurt. What color? Fuck you. Is it big? I'm leaving. I want to fuck you, Hollander. Ilya said against his ear. Hollander shuddered and Ilya was sure he was going to say yes, but instead, no, I can't. Not here. Ilya considered his answer and nodded. Not here. Okay, Ilya said, nipping at his throat. Next time then. Hollander snorted, but he was smiling hopefully. Next time? Ilya shrugged one shoulder. We play in Montreal in 2 weeks. That doesn't mean we can. I mean, how could we? Where would we? Are you homeless? So after the game, you just want me to wait at home for you? Hollander's voice was tight, like he was angry about something. Ilya rolled his eyes. He had no idea why they were wasting time talking right now anyway. Yes. Wait for me. I will come to your house and fuck you. Hollander looked embarrassed again. It's an apartment, he mumbled. Jesus, fine, I will fuck you in your apartment. Can we get back to things now? Give me your phone. My phone? Hollander asked weakly. Yes. Hollander fumbled the phone out of his pocket and handed it to Ilya. Ilya took it and entered his number into Hollander's contacts under the name Lily. Hollander snorted when he saw it. What should I be? He said as he picked up Ilya's phone from the dresser. Shannon? Jane, Ilya said. Jesus Christ. Hollander muttered as he typed, no, just Jane. Thought he was naming himself Jesus Christ. February 2011, Montreal. Ilya Rozanov wanted to fuck him. Shane was both terrified and undeniably aroused by the idea. Undeniably extremely aroused by the idea. That didn't change the fact that it was a really, really bad idea. As far as Shane could figure, he had three choices. Forget about fucking men entirely and just stick to women. Risk finding men, or even just a man who could be discreet and patient. Let whatever the fuck was happening with Rozanov keep happening and try not to think too much about it. Obviously, the first option was the most sensible, certainly the safest, also the most unappealing. The next week, Montreal. Lily, I need your address. Shane, no. Shane smirked at his phone, very pleased with his prompt and clear reply to Rosanov's text. Lily, fuck off. What is it, Shane? None of your business, Lily. Fine, your loss. He wrote back, could we meet somewhere else? He felt a flush of embarrassment as he hit send. God, why couldn't he just have left it where it was? He'd successfully rejected Rosanov. Why give the power right back to him? Lily, like where? Shane, I don't know. Lily, figure it out, let me know. Shane, 1822. Lily, question mark. Shane, room number. Lily, okay, where is this room? Shane, same hotel as you're in. I feel overdressed. Yes, we both are. Rosanov said, and he pulled his t-shirt off over his head before bending to remove his high-top sneakers. When Rosanov stood again, Shane couldn't remember why exactly this was a bad idea. Come here, Rosanov said. No, you come here. Would fuck you just like this, Rosanov growled against the fucking wall. You would like that, yes? Would Shane like that? Probably. Not tonight. Rosanov continued, moving his mouth close to Shane's ear. Tonight I will go easy. Shane wanted to tell him to fuck off, but Rosanov was kissing his throat, scraping away from the wall and carried so into the bed like down, child, put me down, asshole. The eager slut apparently I can walk. Rosanov and dropped big hands gripped his ass as they closed the room. Shane pushed Did you bring everything? Rosanov said. Yes, Shane said he was pretty sure he had everything. And now was rolling against him. Good boy. Fuck you. Yes. Full body tense. Rosanov noticed. Where is the voice strain? Just something must have been very anxiety all over his face. I'm very done. Shane the bottle from Shane and inspected him. I have condoms ordered, Shane said. He pulled a strip of them out of the drawer. Rosanov raised an eyebrow. Are you sure that will be enough? Please, he whispered. Please what? Rosanov asked with a raised eyebrow. I don't know, Shane answered honestly. Please touch you here? Rosanov asked, his fingers trailing below Shane's balls and over the smooth skin that led to. Yes, Shane said. He closed his eyes and let his head fall back on the pillow. Do you know how this works, Hollander? Rosanov stills both of his hands. You've had sex before, right? He asked. Yes, God. You think I haven't? Shane was outraged. Rosanov shrugged. I've had plenty of sex, Rosanov. Lots. Fine. Shane didn't like how amused Rosanov looked. Just relax, Mr. Lots of Sex, Rosanov said. I will make sure you are ready for me. Shane wanted to scowl at him, but in truth, he was sort of charmed by the level of care Rosanov was showing. Like, he took no time in folding. But Shane was still at least 30% terrified. When Rozanov pressed in, it was slow and careful, but Shane's whole body trembled anyway. The pain was there, but not as sharp as Shane had been expecting. The pressure was the most overwhelming sensation he felt, impossibly full, and couldn't imagine how Rozanov was supposed to move once he was all the way in. Shane was struck with the sudden horrific thought that Rozanov would become stuck inside him. Oh Jesus, they would have to call 911 or something. First of all, everything that they do together sounds like a medical emergency, but for some reason, his first thought is calling the police. This he realized was why people were so wild about sex. He had never ever felt like this with anyone before. And of course, Ilya Rozanov, all of 19 years old, with the confidence and skill of like a sex god. Again, I don't like a 19-year-old being called a sex god, but whatever, we're reading smut, so I guess that's okay. June 2011, Las Vegas. Lozanov was a lot of things, but he wasn't boring. He frustrated Shane on the ice and flustered him off the ice. Shane wanted to cross-check him in the mouth and then kiss it better. He wanted to forget about him and he wanted to play every game against him. He wanted... What does he want? He wanted to win the fucking Rookie of the Year award. He wanted to rub it in Rosanov's face. He wanted to rub himself on Rosanov's face. And there we have it, everyone. Secretly, Shane had been searching for him all night. Half of the times he'd been talking to someone, he'd been looking over their shoulder. He'd never caught even a glimpse of golden brown curls, which should have been easy to spot given Rosanov's height. He wondered if Rozanov had just gone back to his room. The thought made Shane angry. What a fucking baby. I'm just gonna step out for some air, Shane told his father. Just for a minute, I'll be back. There was a lot of noise coming from the bar, pulsing music and loud drunken voices. On the other side of the roof, there was a quiet corner that looked out over the sea. It was a place that Shane guessed was normally used for weddings. It was empty now. Almost empty. Shane didn't see him at first, all black in his tuxedo with his head bent down over the railing. Rozanov blended right into the darkness. Then he raised his head and let out a white cloud of smoke. It's not worth jumping over, Shane said, moving to stand just behind him. Rozanov turned. He didn't even seem surprised to see Shane. Such an exciting night for you. I guess. Rozanov rolled his eyes. I guess. It could have gone to either of us. It went to you. You're just sulking up here all night then? It bothers you that much that I won? Rozanov took another drag and turned back to the view. He said something that Shane couldn't hear. What was that? Shane asked, moving to stand beside him against the rail. Not everything is about you, Hollander. He didn't look at Shane at all when he said it. His voice hadn't been angry, he just sounded tired and sad. I go back to Russia in 3 days. Oh. They were both silent for a long time. Shane wasn't sure if Rozanov had more to tell him or not. He decided not to push, but it wasn't like they were friends. They were more than friends. I should get back, Shane said. After several minutes of gazing down at the city, my parents still might want to be at the party. Your parents, Rozanov said. Right. I guess I'll see you next season. A split second later, Shane found himself pushed back from the railing against a wall. Rosanov's mouth was pressed hard against his, and his hands gripped his arms roughly, fingers sticking into his biceps. Shane felt panic. This was super fucking dangerous and stupid and confusing, and Shane kissed him back just as angrily because fuck this guy for doing shit like this. You know what? Good for you. Rosanov leaned in to kiss Shane again, and Shane dodged him. No, he said. No, wait, not here. What's wrong with you? Rosanov gave him that crooked grin that did absurd things to Shane's stomach. We can't, Shane said. He meant it, but it hurt to say. I have to go. You should go to bed, Rosanov. The smile disappeared. See you next season, Rosanov said. Then he turned and walked towards the elevator. I finally made it through part 1 and now off to part 2. I'm telling you right now, JJ said, if fucking Rosanov starts shit with you tonight, I'm taking him out. Shane pulled his shoulder pads over his head and began securing them in place. If you go for Rosanov, Ryan Price is gonna go after you. A loud bark of laughter interrupted Shane's thought. Hayden thrust his phone in his face. Hey, look at what the fans are doing outside. It was a video posted on Twitter of a group of people outside the arena burning what appeared to be an effigy of Ilya Rozanov. Well, that's a bit much, Shane said. When I was reading this reminded me of No One Mourns the Wicked, and I could not keep my laughter in. I cannot redo it again because it's suddenly no longer as funny. But if you found it funny, laugh for me. Lily, how many times can you come in an hour? What the fuck? This was dirty fucking pool even for Rozanov. They didn't text each other before the games, especially not about shit like this. Ilya nearly choked when he saw Hollander's reply. Jane, I don't know, 5 maybe? So fucking pure, so honest and sweet. Ilya, you are very bad at sexting. Jane, who taught you that word? Ilya, your mom. Jane, stop. I'll text you after the game. A few seconds went by. Jane, if you're lucky. Ilya snorted. Hollander was probably so proud of himself for that dig. Ilya, are you hard right now? No answer. Ah, well, Ilya knew he was crossing a line with these texts, but it was just so damn fun to tease Hollander. He hoped Hollander was still mad about it later when they met in the hotel room. I just really respect his dedication to rage bait him before all of their hookups. Something about that is just so funny for me. The back door opened a minute after Ilya sent the text, and all it revealed was Hollander, who glanced nervously around as if he was expecting a SWAT team to descend on them. Get in here, he said. Ilya stepped past him into a dimly lit stairwell, and Hollander locked the door behind them. What is this place? Ilya asked. He led them up too many stairs to the top floor and then used a key to unlock another door. It opened to reveal a large loft apartment, only partially finished. From the looks of it, the walls looked like they had been freshly plastered and hadn't been painted yet. There was a ladder leaning against one wall and an open box of tools beside it. The kitchen area had a brand new countertop and cupboards but no appliances. Is this your place? Ilya had never been to Hollander's home. It had always been hotel rooms before. The idea excited him. No, I mean, I don't live here, but yes, I own it. Will you move here? No, it's just an investment or whatever. I thought it could be a safe space to meet. Hollander was damn cute when he was embarrassed. Did you buy a building so we would have somewhere to fuck Hollander? No, it's an investment. I'm having it renovated and then I'll sell the condos. And I already have a tenant lined up for the commercial space on the main floor. Wow, businessman. Enough questions. We're not here to talk. Yes. Where do you want me? On that ladder? On that pile of wood over there? In here, idiot. Hollander crossed the room and opened yet another door. This one led to a fully furnished bedroom, like a really nice one. I kind of made the bedroom the priority and the bathroom so we could. But Ilya didn't let Hollander finish his sentence. He gripped Hollander's arms and pushed him back against the closet wall and kissed him. Hollander had bought them a fucking building. You see all those people complaining on Twitter how this is not an accurate depiction? That's because they cannot buy a fucking building for their grinder hookup. How's that? Like, of course you broke bitches can't relate. You were smoking, Hollander complained now as he broke away from the kiss. Only one. You aren't supposed to be smoking. You aren't supposed to be talking. Ilya pushed Hollander's chest and knocked him flat onto his back on the bed. They kissed in their usual combative style for a while, Hollander rolling them to pin Ilya down and attack his mouth before Ilya would flip them and regain control. Shirts came off, then pants, then socks and underwear. And Ilya murmured. He was on top now, biting and licking his way along Hollander's collarbone. Then I have to go. Then hurry the fuck up. Hollander, he warned. He was flying way too high, too fast. Hollander moaned, or maybe he tried to form a word around Ilya's dick, but all it did was cause vibrations that Ilya really didn't need right now. Fuck. You have to stop if you want me to fuck you. Hollander ripped his mouth away from Ilya's cock, but then he went very still. Shit. Oh god. Fuck. Ilya felt wetness splash against his thigh. Hollander's body jerked a couple of times, and then he buried his face in Ilya's shoulder. Fuck. Hollander. I'm sorry, he groaned. I can't believe you didn't even touch me. And Ilya just laughed because it was fucking funny. Don't fucking laugh at me. You could win the fastest shot competition. Hollander pulled off, replacing his mouth with his hand. I want to see it. Seconds later, Ilya erupted. He cried out, much louder than usual, as a white-hot orgasm rocketed through his body. Holy shit, Hollander. Ilya gasped when he was able to speak again. I'm dead. You killed me. 15 minutes later, they were waiting at the bottom of the stairs for Ilya's taxi to arrive. It's a nice building, Ilya said because he hated the silence. You don't want to live here? No, but renovations might take a while, so I'll probably be able to use it for a bit. More silence, and then Hollander said, You must be excited for the Olympics in Russia. Yes, Ilya was excited, but thinking about the expectations of his home country of his father made his stomach hurt and made him want a cigarette. I've been dreaming of the Olympics my whole life, Hollander said. I can't wait. For what, a bronze medal? Fuck you, Ilya laughed. Hey, remember when you shot your load for like no reason at all? Hollander rolled his eyes, but Ilya could tell he was trying not to laugh. Oh my god, go to hell. February 2014, Sochi, Russia. Shane Hollander. Shane nearly jumped at the sound of his name being followed behind him. He spun around and spotted two familiar faces approaching him. Carter Vaughan yelling and Scott Hunter not yelling. Scott was the captain of Team USA's men's hockey team and Carter was his teammate. both here and in New York, where they played for the Admirals. How are you finding the accommodations? Shane asked. Are you kidding? Carter asked. I'm sleeping on a cot. It's a twin bed, Scott corrected him. Whatever, a fucking twin bed wedged between two other twin beds. One of them has this fucking oaf snoring away on it. I don't snore. Those fucking guys are brave to be here, you know. Brave, Scott asked. Carter lowered his voice and glanced around the beach. Yeah, like, because of the gay thing, right? Some of those guys are risking their lives for real here. Brave as hell. Right, Scott said. He turned his gaze to the ocean. He knew about Russia's laws against homosexuality, but he'd been trying not to think too much about stuff like that. He just wanted to enjoy the Olympics, win the gold medal, and go home. And about Rozanov. Rozanov could take care of himself. This was his home turf. He would know how to keep safe. Good for her that she tried to talk about homophobia in Russia, but honestly, this was just bare minimum. Like, we get to see a bunch of non-Russians talking about how Russia is so homophobic, but we don't really see any of that. Like, this is the only time that homophobia is ever brought up in this book. I find it really distasteful that this book was written during Trump's presidency. And to bring up this conversation, she had to move the characters to Russia and then have this conversation and then come back to America. Like, I know that there is this persistent message in this book that they cannot come out even in America, but this specific conversation, we're only having it once throughout the book. Like, I wish we got more of it spread throughout the book because it is a very big issue. It's not something that, you know, you can just say in passing or, oh, this is such a distant issue. It's just in this specific country. It does not exist there. Like, that's not the point. He sent a text, having a good time. There, that was cool and casual, just a friendly, hey, we're both at the Olympics. Fun, right? Also, are you in jail? He waited all night for a reply, but none came. The Olympics were bullshit. Ilya had been on edge all week. It had been days of smiling for the Russian media and mingling with government officials who made his skin crawl, men and women who supported their country's leaders without question, and who expected Ilya to do the same. Ilya hadn't had any time to enjoy himself. He'd barely had time to focus on his game, and it showed. And making it worse was the fact that his father would be there, his father who had only spoken to him this week to let him know how badly he had let Russia down, would be parading his famous son around the ballrooms as if he was proud of him. At first, Ilya was expected to go to his father's hotel room, to which he was strong enough to refuse. The door opened and there was Grigory Rozanov in all his intimidating glory. He was wearing his full-dress police uniform, and Ilya could see his stern frown even through the grey beard that covered his face. He was almost 50 years older than Ilya. The minister wants to meet you tonight. The Minister of Internal Affairs was who he meant, his boss. I will be honored, Ilya lied. He wanted to toss back the vodka and pour himself 4 or 5 more. You should be honored that he would want to meet you. After last night, Ilya bit down on the inside of his cheek. To lose to Latvia, his father continued, how could you have allowed that to happen? How are you not ashamed? I am ashamed, father. Father waved a wand. Not nearly enough. They don't teach you discipline in the American League. You are sloppy now. It's a shame because you had such promise when you were young. I'm only 25. I am one of the best hockey players in the world. We should go, Ilya said. Grigory's brow furrowed. Yes, to the gala, Ilya supplied, for the Olympics. You are going to introduce me to the minister. Grigory's head snapped up, eyes blazing. I know that. He turned away from his son and threw open the closet door. He pulled his overcoat off the hanger and put it on. As Ilya followed his father down the hall to the elevators, he felt his phone buzz in his pocket. He quickly glanced at the screen. Jane, having a good time? He really did not need Shane's stupid Hollander to be trying to make contact. Not here, not now. He ignored the message and stuffed his phone back into his pocket. We get to see a little bit of him talking to his father, who is like just overall a really bad person. We don't really get to know him very much or even see him very much in this book. But again, this is a romance novel. This is not about him, so we can look past that. Shane saw Rozanov standing at the top of the lower bowl of seating during the Sweden versus Finland game. He was alone wearing a long black wool coat instead of his team jacket. His collar was turned up, his hands were in his pockets. Hey, Shane said. Rozanov looked at him and shook his head. Not here, he said tightly. No, I'm not. I just wanted to see how you're doing. Fine, go, sit down. We are not anything, not here, Hollander. Rosanov's eyes darted around him as if searching for threats. It was the first time that Shane had ever seen Rosanov look uncomfortable. Are you sure? Shane asked. He spoke as quietly as he could over the noise of the arena. Please go. June 2014, Las Vegas. At the end of the season, the league asked Rosanov and Hollander to present together at the NHL Awards. Because the league was huge, they asked them to present the award for most sportsmanlike. Where the hell is Rosanov? A panic director asked. I don't know, Shane said. We don't exactly talk much. Shane had felt sorry for him, but then Rosanov turned the shame of losing so horribly in the Olympics into feeling that propelled him and the Bears all the way to the Stanley Cup. Shane had watched the final game with Hayden and some of the other guys who had stuck around Montreal after their team had been eliminated in the third round. Shane had been sick with jealousy but had also been undeniably proud when he'd watched Ilya Rozanov lift the cup over his head and roar. See, again, I really like that this book makes them a really cute couple, but at the same time, they're just always ready to murder each other. Like, this is one of the best displays of enemies to lovers. Shane had been shocked to find tears in his own eyes as he watched the raw emotion explode out of Rozanov. It was as if, with every heave of the cup over his head, Rozanov was saying, fuck you, I did it, fuck you to someone. Maybe to Shane, but he didn't think so. He hoped not. Looking for me, a familiar voice drawled behind him. Shane whipped around and was faced with Ilya Rozanov looking so fucking good in his tux. He'd grown his hair out over the past season, and that night he'd been wearing it slicked back and tied in a little bun. He looked like a European fashion model. Fuck off, Rozanov. What the fuck? We're on in like 5 seconds. 50 seconds. We are fine. Hey, Rozanov said, before we give out the award, can I get a selfie? What? Shane asked. It was all part of the script. Just a quick one, I mean. When will this happen again, right? Fine, but hurry up. Rozanov wrapped an arm around Shane's shoulder and he pulled him tight against him. Everyone laughed. Rozanov held his phone out and snapped. Shane noticed at least 6 quick photos. Give me your number, I'll send it to you. No chance. Shane deadpanned. Laughter. Rozanov was slow to move his arm from Shane's shoulder. When he finally did, he let his fingers brush the back of Shane's neck, making every hair stand up. Shane felt his cock swell a bit and silently cursed him. Why are cocks swelling in this book exactly? Like, have they tried seeing a doctor? Because to me, this sounds a bit concerning. They read the nominees, gave the winner his trophy, and then Shane left the stage as quickly as possible. He kept walking until he found a small bathroom backstage. He entered and left the door unlocked. Less than 30 seconds later, Rozanov slipped inside and locked the door.
Sucking dick and cock, like I'm just like sucking dick and cock, like I'm just like sucking dick and cock, like I'm just like dick and cock, like I'm just like sucking dick and cock, like I'm just like sucking dick and cock, sucking dick and cock, like I'm just like oh my god, time and place.
Sucking dick, we sucking dick, taking everybody's man, we're fucking everybody that got, we sucking everybody nigga dick.
Involuntarily later. Maybe ask nicely. Shane wanted to tell him to fuck off himself, but instead, to his mortification, he heard himself say, please. No. He let go of Shane and stepped back. What? Shane sputtered. No, I will not do anything to you in here. We will go back out there and sit in our seats and then we go to the party. And then when you have been waiting all night for it, you will come to my hotel room. And I will maybe do more than suck your dick. Shane left the party as early as he could. He wished he had the willpower to stay to make Rozanov wait. He wished he had the strength to stand Rozanov up. He has the strength to stand something else up. He had a text with Rozanov's room number and he'd seen him slip out of the party a few minutes ago. They hadn't spoken since the bathroom backstage. Rozanov had phone. Of course he had phone, and now Shane had to find out exactly what he wanted from him. They had done everything. Shane was pretty sure they'd done everything at this point. Blowjobs? Check. Hand jobs? Of course. Fucking? Yes, but with only Shane bottoming. Shane couldn't see Rozanov wanting to change that up. He hoped not anyway. So I have a little confession to make. I've been saying that I've been feeling like I'm going crazy ever since I read this book and saw clips of the show on Twitter. So someone had posted a link of a fanfic where they do switch the roles up, and I was very interested in reading that. I'll go look for it again if anyone is interested, and I'll put it in the comments just so I can feel more embarrassment for having read that. So when I saw that link, like any sane person would do, I went down the rabbit hole of Archive of Our Own and I read that fanfic for scientific purposes. It was great. Moving on, Rozanov had an enormous suite booked at the Las Vegas casino where the award ceremony was held. He stood in the middle of it now, most of his tuxedo already removed. He was down to just the sleek black pants and his dress shirt half unbuttoned. His feet were bare. Shane had removed his bow tie and stuffed it in his pocket when he had unfastened a couple of his own shirt buttons earlier. But he had some catching up to do. Here to congratulate me? Rozanov said. I guess. Rozanov spread his arms out, as if to say, well, congratulations. Shane said flatly. Thank you. Now take off your clothes. Shouldn't we? I mean, there are windows. There are a lot of windows. We are on the 16th floor. Yeah, but Rozanov pushed himself off the table and flicked his hand in the air, gesturing for Shane to follow him to the bedroom. Shane was down to his breast when he reached the bedroom. Rozanov was already drawing the curtains across the windows. On the bed, he instructed without looking at Shane. I am impressed with this hotel. This vodka is not so easy to find. Okay, Shane said impatiently. Touch yourself. What? Show off for me. Let me watch you. You what? It's my special night, Hollander. I want to watch you. Every inch of him flushed red. I've never. Rosanov grinned. I thought maybe not. He gestured with the hand that wasn't holding the drink. Show me. How do you touch yourself? Shane Hollander. Fuck. Give me some of that vodka then, he said. I'm too sober for this. Rosanov shook his head. No, the vodka you can have after as reward. Fuck you. If Rozanov wanted a show, he was going to get a fucking show. He rubbed himself through the fabric of his briefs for a few minutes, making sure to emphasize the outline of his erection. He already found himself enjoying this. His fear was forgotten. He opened his eyes and looked directly at Rozanov, whose gaze was locked on Shane's crotch. His lips parted. Come on, Hollander, he said in a low rumble. Show me. Shane lifted his hips, hooked his thumb into his waistband, and tugged his underwear down to his thighs. His cock sprang free, hard and glistening. Would you like to know? Rozanov asked as he settled himself back into his chair. How it feels? How what feels? He leaned forward, grinning like a shark. The cup. Do you want to know what it feels like to hold the Stanley Cup? Oh, fuck you. Rozanov laughed. I cannot describe it anyway. Impossible. I'll find out for myself soon enough, Shane grumbled. Of course. Now show me how you like it, Hollander. Open yourself up, Rozanov said. Use your fingers. Oh, fuck. Shane felt simultaneously mortified and excited, but right now I'm just feeling mortified. He reached for the lube. Yes, let me see you open yourself for me. You gonna fuck me? Shane managed to get out. We'll see. Shane got to work. It was undeniably humiliating. Can't agree. To be splayed out on the bed like this. Can't agree. Shane's fingers 2 knuckles deep in his own ass while Ilya Rosanov calmly sipped his vodka and watched everything like he was going to be tested on it later. The only thing that could make the situation more embarrassing would be, please, Shane gasped, begged, please what? I need. He could tell that Rosanov was starting to lose his composure. He could see how his Adam's apple popped sharply as he swallowed the way he ran his teeth over his bottom lip. What do you need, Hollander? You. Fuck me, please. I cannot. I feel embarrassed reading through this. I feel very embarrassed reading through this. He opened Rosanov's pants and pushed them down to his ankles along with his underwear. He wrapped his mouth around Rosanov's cock and moaned with relief. Fuck, Hollander, you will love it. Okay. Shane responded by turning. He was sure betrayed, but he couldn't do it. Wait a minute. I think I read this before, didn't I? I think I messed up my screenshots, y'all. So, anyways, not that it matters. Luzna fucked him hard with one hand pressing between Shane's shoulder blades, pressing him down to the mattress. They were both loud, and if it hadn't been a ridiculously large Las Vegas hotel suite, Shane would have been worried about it, but he felt safe here, so he let himself go. He cried out with every thrust, begging for more, even though that was probably an impossible thing to ask for. Even though it was embarrassing to be this desperate for Ilya Rozanov, Shane really hoped no one could hear them. He came so hard that he actually yelled. Was he in pain? Like, why are you yelling? There was no other word for it. You know, that skin thing that happened earlier where Rachel just completely said it the way it was. She was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna bother to give you a metaphor. Like, I love this about this book. Like, I really love this thing about the author, Rachel Reed, that she has just accepted that her target audience is not here for the literariness of the novel. They just want to know how big that dick can get and how deep it can get in that pussy. And honestly, massive respect for the author and the readers who can just keep up with it. Actually, no, you should be ashamed. And I am not going to elaborate. You should just go sit in the corner and think about that. Shane carefully flipped to his back, leaving the wet spot on the bedsheets between them. How about that vodka? Rosanov laughed. Yes, give me a minute. Shane sipped his vodka, which was gross. He really didn't drink anything beyond beer very often. At least it was cold against his tongue. Are you heading back soon? Shane asked us to make conversation. Back? To Russia, for summer. Rosanov exhaled a long stream of smoke. Yes. They were silent a moment, then Shane couldn't help but ask, why? Rosanov shrugged. It is home. It is home. But do you like going there? Rosanov didn't answer. He took another drag off his cigarette and closed his eyes. I should sleep, he said finally. Oh yeah, I should. I need to get going anyway. Yes. There was that Shane had been expecting. He got cleaned up in the bathroom, then went to the main room to retrieve his clothes. He put on the pants and the shirt and carried the rest of his tuxedo. Rosanov didn't leave the bedroom. See you, Shane called out. Goodbye, Hollander. Rosanov replied from the other room, and Shane left. He realized when he was back in his room that they hadn't even kissed. He also realized with horror that he had regretted that. We have finally made it to part 3 of this book, and I still have like half of my highlights left. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I am sitting here for a very long time, I guess. October 2016, Montreal. This might have happened on my birthday, which is crazy. Jackie is pregnant. Shane stopped dead in his tracks in the middle of the Gulf of St. Lawrence ecosystem at the Montreal Biodome. Again, he said, Hayden laughed. Jesus, thanks. Sorry, I mean, congratulations. Hayden had married Jackie at 25 after only dating her for a year. Shane had been there the night they'd met. Hayden had dragged Shane and a couple of other guys out to the club where Hayden had met his future wife. I wanted to talk about Jackie here because there is a whole controversy, whatever you want to call it, surrounding Jackie and other women in this book that they're not very well portrayed. But like, I want you guys to be so for real. If you read this book at this point, if you were still expecting women to be the center of this book or even portrayed well in this book, that's just on you. Like, this book is very clearly about two people, and other than them, there's literally no other character that's portrayed well. And in my opinion, in my most humble opinion, I think the main leads are not done well at all in this book. Other than like their rivalry and the smut, there's literally nothing in this book. Like, if you were expecting well-developed characters, you should just stick to Heartstopper. You know, that show was made for you people who care about the characters, like me, and not about the smut, like me. And if you're wondering why I'm still reading through this book for the third time for this video, I have no answer for you, other than the fact that I'm literally going insane. In the Antarctic room, Hayden and Shane were able to sit on a bench with the stroller parked next to them while the twins ran up to the glass to look at the penguins. So Jackie has this friend, Hayden said. Oh Jesus, here we go again. No, Shane said. I know, but listen, she's gorgeous and she's cool. She's a yoga instructor. You like yoga, right? I'm sure she's great, but I'm really not interested in dating anyone right now. What the F? I mean, why on earth not? You're young, you're rich, you're famous, you look like you. Shane gave him a flirty look. Hayden, do you find me attractive? Look, pal, if I was a woman, I'd be all over you. Shane laughed. In truth, he could think of worse scenarios than having Hayden bike all over him, but he wasn't going to tell him that. Besides, Hayden was his best friend and he never had anything but platonic feelings for him. Blonde hair, green eyes, and cleft chin aside. October 2016, Washington. On the television, Hollander was standing on some sort of dock surrounded by the calm blue waters of an enormous lake. Thick green forest lined the banks. When the demands of the season are over, this is where Shane Hollander comes to relax and recuperate. His 5,000 square foot lakefront cottage. Ilya sat up. He had never seen any place that Hollander called home. There were sweeping shots of some of the rooms of the cottage, a spacious high-ceilinged living area with a leather sectional sofa and some very Canadian-looking plate throw pillows and blankets, a modern high-end kitchen with a large island in the middle, a pool table and a bar, a gym that had a wall of floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the lake. Then, without warning, they cut to a shot of Hollander doing fucking yoga on the dock. By the time this video is out, hopefully we've all seen it on Twitter. Ilya wondered if Hollander had ever fucked anyone in that cottage. Probably. Probably some nice wholesome girl that he had met while canoeing or whatever. Shane and Ilya were opposites in almost every way imaginable, but it was getting harder for Ilya to deny that there was something in his core that was drawn to Hollander. Instead of getting him out of his system with their hookups, each one just made him want more. This was dangerous fucking stuff. But like, that's what he likes, so what's the problem? I don't see any problem here. Do you see a problem here? November 2016, Boston. Heading out, Hayden asked from where he was watching television on the hotel bed. Yeah, just for a bit, meeting a friend, if you say so. Hayden grinned. Shane swallowed and tried not to let anything show on his face. His insides roiled with shame and fear and anticipation. Just a friend, Shane said. I won't wait up. It's not. Shane closed his eyes and calmed himself. It's not that type of a friend. I'll be back soon. It was that kind of a friend. Luznoff lived in a building that was a short cab drive from the hotel. They had moved their Boston hookups from hotel rooms to Luznoff's penthouse last season. So like, things have escalated a bit in their relationships and they can fuck at home now, where no one else lives. So like, I don't understand why this was a problem in the first place, you know? Because like, again, we don't know a lot about these characters. Like, we are in their heads throughout the book, but for some reason, there is a lot of conflict that exists in this book that is never really addressed. Like, I'm not asking the author to guide the reader through a lot of things, but again, there are some things that I just don't understand about their characters. Their entire relationship is just based around hockey and fucking every 6 months. I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. When he was on the front steps in front of the building, he sent the text, "I'm here." "Fuck is this?" Shane asked as he entered the bedroom. "You're not speaking to me anymore. Just expect me to follow you like a dog?" "Shh," Rosnov said. He tilted Shane's head up and kissed him hungrily. Shane surrendered immediately, pushing his tongue into the other man's mouth and slipping his hand into the back of his sweatpants. Rosnov wasn't wearing underwear and his cock was half hard already. Shane took it into his mouth. "Jesus, Hollander," Rosnov said. He placed a hand on the side of Shane's face. "Couldn't wait, could you?" Shane closed his eyes. He could have felt embarrassed, but he loved the feeling of Rosnov growing harder against his tongue. If you cannot tell, it was followed by multiple pages of smut that I simply don't have the energy to read through. There is nothing new that happens in those ones. So, like, I'm just gonna skip that part. "You would stay," Rosnov said. "Stay? Stay here, tonight." His eyes opened. Rosnov was looking at him seriously. "Again, you want me to stay here?" Rosnov seemed to realize what he had just asked because his face changed and he shrugged, forcing a half grin. "I'm not done with you yet." "Oh, that was more familiar. I can't stay, you know that." "You could. The game is tomorrow afternoon, not morning practice. I told Hayden." Rosnov rolled his eyes. "Is Hayden your mother?" "No, but he's expecting me. I told him I was meeting a friend." Rosnov snorted. "That was a lie." Shane laughed at that. "Yeah, well," Rosnov lowered himself until his nose was inches from Shane's face. "Stay." "I got ginger ale. You like that shit, right?" "Yeah, I do." Shane looked at him oddly. Shane often abstained from alcohol because he didn't want to do anything that might compromise his performance on the ice. Over the years, he had developed an affinity for ginger ale as a substitute for beer, but it wasn't like he'd ever talked about that to Rozanov. Instead of asking Rozanov how the hell he knew that he liked ginger ale or why he cared enough to buy some, he asked, "You want to order takeout?" Or, "I like this part." I like this part on one aspect that it really shows their relationship on a deeper level. But again, we don't get to see them as, separate entities, which I would have liked to see. Anyway, do you like tuna melts? You want to make me a tuna melt? Not sure. "I'm making one for me. I can make two. Ginger ale is in the fridge." He seemed to really want Shane to drink the ginger ale. As Shane took one from the fridge, he wondered if it might be poisoned. Shane sat at the opposite end of the couch. He'd first considered the leather recliner that was next to the couch. Whatever they were to each other, they were boyfriends. He knew how to behave around him when they were naked and pressed against each other, and he knew how to play against him on the ice, but just hanging out with their clothes on was uncharted territory. The entire problem I have with this book is that I cannot for the life of me tell when it's trying to be funny and when it is not trying to be funny. Because here, I just felt like the author was trying to sneak in a joke with the uncharted territory, but I'm not getting. I'm not finding it funny at all. She didn't like being the one doing the fucking all that much. She loved being fucked. Women were not probably equipped to do that, and Shane was too embarrassed to ask them to use a dildo on him, so he more or less forced himself to endure the act of fucking women. No, we're not going to be talking about the blatant misogyny again. No, we're not going. We're not doing that. But maybe he hadn't met the right girl yet. That was what he kept telling himself. It made complete sense to him. Just because he hadn't really had his mind blown out in the bedroom by a woman yet didn't mean it was impossible. There must be a girl out there somewhere who could make him feel like he did when he was with, you know who he was with. "Sorry," Rozanov said when he sat back on the couch. "My father." Oh, and he knew he should ask whether or not everything was okay at home or something, but he was not consumed by one thought. No one makes me feel like Ilya Rozanov does. The game ended and they switched to a Western Conference game that was in progress. Rozanov cleared their dishes away, and when he came back, wedged himself between Shane and the arm of the couch. He turned slightly and wrapped an arm around Shane, guiding him back to rest against his own chest. Shane was surprised, but he went willingly, very willingly. Resting against Rozanov like this in his home, watching hockey, full of the food he had just made him, this was exactly what they weren't supposed to be doing. This is what couples did. "Why do I need so much?" Shane muttered the words against Rosanov's lips and hoped the other man hadn't heard them. "Need what?" Rosanov asked as if he didn't know. Shane didn't answer. Instead, he raised his hip so he could haul down Rosanov's waistband and pull his cock out. "Fuck, Hollander." "You like that?" he growled. "You gonna come for me, Rosanov?" "Fucking make me, Hollander." Shane gasped and his stroking became frantic and sloppy and he was so close. "Come on," he gritted out. Then Rozanov went very still and said, "Oh God, Shane," and he came into hot bursts, coating Shane's hand and allowing Shane to use the slickness to bring himself off almost immediately with the sound of his name being spoken in breathless Russian accent still ringing in his ears. They held each other, both breathing heavily as they waited for their hearts to stop racing. But Shane didn't think his heart would ever stop racing. Shane. He called me Shane. Ilya, he said barely more than a whisper. Ilya didn't answer. Instead, he crushed their mouths together and kissed Shane in a raw, uncontrolled way that felt like an apology. Oh no, oh fuck, oh no. Shane untangled himself from Ilya and stood. I should go. It was an understatement. Shane needed to get the fuck out of here. Immediately, he clumsily tucked himself back into his jeans as he staggered backward away from Ilya. Shit, where did I leave my underwear? Go? Yeah, I shouldn't stay. I can't. We can't. This is. Ilya shifted on the couch, stretching one arm across the back and resting his ankle on his knee, casual as anything. This is nothing, Hollander. Hollander, you called me Shane. Team meeting in the morning, I forgot. That made Ilya laugh. It wasn't warm. You forgot about the team meeting? Sure. Shane was already at the door, shoving his feet into his knickers. Fuck the underwear, he needed to leave. Thanks for the tuna melt. What is happening? This was bad. This was really fucking bad. Shane's heart was racing and it wasn't from taking the stairs. Every fiber of him wanted to run right back up those stairs and into Ilya's arms to wrap himself around him and go to bed with him and wake up with him. And that was why Shane marched straight out of Ilya's building and didn't stop walking until he was safely back in his hotel room. You know, the problem just persists that the author has really well constructed this conflict in this book about their relationship, but for me, it just never feels very organic. It always feels like it exists in a vacuum just because we as readers, we never really get to know these characters individually. Like perhaps we could have some backstory to really build these characters up around. So yeah, that's my main issue with this book. He put on some nicer clothes and drove himself to Mile End. It was late on a Tuesday night and the streets were quiet. He found a parking spot near the restaurant and stepped out of his SUV into the cold. Aside from a couple of his teammates, Shane didn't know anyone at the party, but he certainly recognized a few movie stars in the crowd. Shane was pretty famous, extremely so on the hockey scale, but even he was a little starstruck in this company. Please tell me you're hungry, a woman's voice said. Shane looked up and saw a slim woman with dark glossy hair and a very expensive looking top draped over equally expensive looking jeans. Rose Landry, the chef just handed me these fritters and they look delicious, but I can't possibly eat them all, she said, sliding into booth next to Shane. Oh my god, these are so good. You have to eat some. She belatedly raised her hand to cover her mouth as she spoke, then she laughed at herself. Sorry, she said after she swallowed. I'm a pig. I'm Rose, by the way, she said, holding out her perfectly manicured hand. Shane smiled and shook it. Shane, he said, nice to meet you. I'm a fan. Well, she said, leaning in a bit. Would you be surprised to know I'm a big fan of yours? At the end of the night, they exchanged contact info and made loose plans to meet for dinner whenever both of their schedules permitted. Shane left the restaurant with a little spring in his step. It had easily been the best connection he had made with a woman ever. He liked Rose. He wanted to get to know her better. He was excited by the idea of spending more time with her. She was very pretty, obviously, but mostly Shane just loved talking to her. She was funny and she asked a lot of questions, but none of them had made Shane uncomfortable. Shane liked a girl. Too much for someone who was getting boned in the mouth by a Russian just like 5 minutes ago. December 2016. Detroit. Ilya woke alone in his hotel room in Detroit. Yes, he was in Detroit. He glanced over at his roommate's abandoned bed and then at the clock, 8:30. Ilya threw on some sweats and made his way to the Starbucks in the hotel lobby for some coffee and a breakfast sandwich. Two of his teammates, Cliff Marlowe and Victor St. Simon, were sitting at a table. Ross, you gotta see this, you shit man, Cliff called out. Ilya couldn't imagine what the hell would be that interesting to him. He made his way over to the table and Victor held out his phone for him to see. There was a headline that read, Is Rose Landry dating NHL star Shane Hollander? No was Ilya's immediate reaction. He hoped it sounded more dismissive to his teammates than shocked. Right? Cliff laughed. She's like a super giant movie star. How the fuck did he even meet her during the hockey season? She's been filming a movie in Montreal, Victor said. They met at a mutual friend's party, according to unnamed sources. Ilya snorted. There are pictures, Victor said. Look. He held the phone out again and Ilya grabbed it. He scrolled through 4 paparazzi photos and Shane having dinner with the gorgeous dark-haired movie star. In one of them, Shane was laughing. Ilya scowled and handed the phone back to Victor. Probably nothing, he said. He's gonna have the worst crash out of his life. January 2017, Boston. It wasn't nothing. As the weeks went on, more and more paparazzi photos of Shane and Rose Landry together were hitting the internet. Photos of the two of them walking together, smiling at each other, leaving restaurants together, kissing each other on the cheek. Just on the cheek, it could still be nothing. Ilya turned up the resistance on his stationary bike. Why did he care anyway? Why shouldn't Hollander be dating a beautiful woman? Rosanov had slept with a beautiful woman 2 nights ago and another one the night before that. The thing was, Hollander didn't do that. Rosanov assumed Hollander must have sex with people who weren't him, but there was no evidence of it. He didn't want to think about it too much either. He had definitely never known Hollander to go on consecutive dates with a woman, to be seen with a woman often enough for the press to notice. Hollander had a girlfriend. Maybe Hollander was in love. Ilya pushed himself on the bike until his legs screamed in protest. He stopped and took a long haul from his water bottle. He knew this ridiculous thing between them wasn't going to last forever. It was just convenient, so maybe it was over now. So what? Boston was playing in Montreal next week. The week after that was the All-Stars game. Would Hollander just ignore him? As Ilya was exiting the team gym, he stubbed his toe on one of the other bikes. He bellowed a string of Russian profanity and hurled his water bottle at the wall. He tried to control his breathing as he watched the water seep into the black and gold carpet. Jesus, Cliff said as he stopped off his treadmill. What the fuck's wrong with you? Nothing, Ilya growled. Stubbed my toe. He left the room in a hurry, not bothering to pick up the water bottle. 1 week later, Montreal, when Shane's phone buzzed an hour after the game against Boston ended, he had expected it to be Ilya. It was Rose. Come out with us tonight? We'll be at Ultraviolet. Shane felt a confusing mixture of anxiety and relief sweep over him. He hadn't been sure what to say to Ilya, if he had texted him, if he had wanted to see him. Okay, he texted back. What time? Ilya was absolutely not going to text Hollander, not a chance. What he was going to do instead apparently was sulk around his hotel room and snap at his roommate for no reason at all. Hey, Ryan, Carmichael said after the umpteenth undeserved bitchy comment from Ilya. Fuck you, what's your problem anyway? Ilya sighed and sat himself on the end of his bed. Nothing. Fuck this. I need to get laid. Let's get out. Out where? Ilya swept his hand in the direction of the large window. We're in fucking Montreal. Find the club. Come on. He found Rose and her friends in a VIP area at the club. She stood up and kissed him quickly in greeting. He recognized most of the people there. 2 of them were her co-stars from the X-Squad movie, Miles and Gia. Miles was a young actor with a massive fan base due to his work as a teenager on a popular television drama. They sat and drank and talked for almost an hour as the club filled up. Rose's voice was noticeably hoarse from shouting over the music. Shane had barely said 10 words. He just enjoyed listening to everyone else and laughing when someone made a joke. When he couldn't follow the conversation, he sipped his second beer, watched the dance floor, and stole a few glances at Miles, which was done because Shane was here with Rose Landry. Come on, dance with me, Rose exclaimed suddenly. She stood up and tried to pull Shane with her. No, Shane said. No, come on. I never get to dance. That is a lie. Miles laughed. Well, I want to dance with Shane. Shane heard Miles say something that sounded a lot like that makes 2 of us, but he couldn't be sure over the music. Rose put her arms around his neck and they danced, or at least she danced. She was stunning and she moved to the music with so much carefree joy Shane was mesmerized. He wondered what Ilya was doing tonight. Had he been disappointed that they hadn't hooked up? Was Shane disappointed? Ilya headed straight for the dance floor. As soon as they entered the club, it was late and the place was packed. A quick scan of the place told him that there were plenty of good options, plenty of girls who could take his mind off Shane's stupid Hollander. Wait, it was impossible not to spot Rose Landry on the dance floor. Even in this crowd, she stood out, and it only took him a second longer to realize the man she had her arms around, who had his arms on her waist, was Shane Hollander. Fuck it. Bro is having the worst time of his life at a club. See all the people saying that he should have been at the club? Look at what the club did to him. His eyes landed on a man he was sure was Victor Saint-Simon, a player from Boston. He was smiling at a girl he was dancing with. Shane frowned and glanced around. He spotted Ryan Carmichael and Cliff Marlowe and Ilya Rosanov. Ilya was dancing with the girl, his head and shoulders towered over most of the crowd. Shane moved through the sea of dancers toward him without even realizing he was doing it. Ilya was watching her, eyes hooded, lips parted. Shane watched as he bit down on his lower lip and closed his eyes before bending his head to kiss her neck. She turned and leaned up and kissed him. It was a wild, filthy kiss. She had her hands up the front of his shirt, and Shane felt sick. He needed to leave. I just love how none of them are having a good time at the club. Glanced around the club, wondering where the best dark corner was to. Holy fuck. When his gaze landed on Shane Hollander, Shane's eyes went wide. Had Shane just been watching him? Back at the hotel, Ilya jerked off in the shower before throwing himself angrily onto his bed. He couldn't sleep. He curled on his side and watched the minutes tick by on the alarm clock beside the bed. Stupid fucking Shane Hollander, stupid Rose Landry. What if Ilya had been able to get closer to him? Would Shane have danced with him right there in that packed Montreal nightclub? Would he have let Ilya push that solid polo shirt up and run his hand over the hard lines of his abs? Would he have tilted his head back and sucked in a breath when Ilya kissed his neck? No, it would never have happened. Shane was with Rose now, and he and Ilya couldn't even appear to be friendly with each other, let alone be spotted grinding against each other in a club. 1 week later, Montreal. Shane liked Rose Landry. He did. They had slept together a couple of times. It had been fine, better than usual really, except Shane knew she wouldn't be so dazzled by his stardom that she would be able to overlook his performance. That had made him nervous, which had made it more difficult for him to perform. I thought it would be nice to have some time to talk, she'd explained. Just the two of us. Sure, Shane had said. Yeah, you're right, it's nice. She leaned back in her chair. Are there like gay hockey players? She asked. I mean, obviously, yes, there are, right? But are there any openly gay hockey players? Rose Landry was fujoshing out and representing all of you thirsty bitches. No, Shane said. I mean, yes, there are gay players, bi players, whatever. I'm sure there must be, yeah. But no one has ever come out publicly. Why is she asking me this? She said. What? She gave him a small smile. He wasn't sure what it meant. I'm sorry, I'm going about this the wrong way. She reached out and put her hands on his. Shane, I really like you, but I'm getting the vibe that maybe I'm not doing it for you. Her gaydar was going crazy, like this. Shane, I really like you, but I'm getting the vibe that maybe I'm not doing it for you. You are, you do. I like you a lot too. You like talking to me. Yes. Do you like kissing me? Sure. She laughed. Wow. Oh god, Shane was fucking this up. I mean, yes, of course I do. Shane, sweetie, denial is a river in Egypt and you and your man whore are gay. Or whatever Rose Landry said. When he met her eyes, she smiled. Well, it's nothing that you need to figure out today. She took a sip of her wine, possibly for courage, because the next word out of her mouth were, have you ever been with a man? For whatever reason, Shane didn't feel like lying. He'd made it this far, yes. And was it different? Of course. I mean, was it better? Yeah, Shane said softly. Yeah, it was better. He cleared his throat. The thing is, I kind of prefer to be the hole than the peg. The same night, Boston. Svetlana was his favorite. Ilya watched her now perched on the bed of his bed naked, flipping through channels, searching for the Vancouver versus Colorado hockey game. He had first met Svetlana 3 years ago when she'd worked for the Lamborghini dealership in Boston. He had been surprised to learn after he had slept with her for the first time that she was the daughter of a retired Russian Boston Bears star player. She possibly knew more about hockey than Ilya did. You are playing against Shane Hollander this year, right? In the All-Stars game? Svetlana asked as if she didn't know the answer. Yes, is he also terrible? No, Hollander is amazing. I love Shane Hollander. She sort of purred the last few words. Dreidel. He's a beautiful skater, such talented hands, and so cute. Now you are trying to make me angry. You can't argue those facts, Ilya. No, Ilya said, grinding the butt of his cigarette into a small plate he was using as a makeshift ashtray. I can't argue them. He's very good. And cute, if you say so. He grimaced at himself as Svetlana pulled her shirt back on. Shane Hollander was not an option. He wasn't ever an option, not really. The thing between them needed to stop. It was bad for both of them, and Ilya knew they should end it. What scared Ilya was how desperately he wanted it to continue. Ilya wondered if Rose Landry would be joining Shane in Florida for the All-Stars game. He wondered if Rose Landry would be accompanying Shane to everything from now on. Or maybe they would get married. For the first time ever, Ilya was not looking forward to the All-Star game. January 2017, Tampa Bay. Shane was nervous after 6.5 seasons. He was used to this fucked up arrangement with Ilya Rozanov, but something felt different now. Maybe it was because he had finally spoken aloud to someone about his possible preference. Or maybe it was because of the weird way things were left the last time he and Rozanov had been together in Ilya's apartment. Or maybe Shane just felt surer of what he wanted now, after walking away from a relationship that had almost been perfect. Almost. He wanted to see Rozanov this weekend. He wanted to be with him alone behind closed doors. He was tired of lying to himself about it. Ilya hadn't texted Hollander in over 2 months. Not that they had ever regularly contacted each other before, but their silence had been particularly deafening. The past few weeks had been the first time that Ilya felt sure that if he texted him, Shane wouldn't reply. Ilya ran out of time to fret because at the moment Hollander walked into the bar, every head turned, some guys actually stood up for fuck's sake. Ilya leaned against the bar and watched Shane shake hands and clap guys on the back. He watched him smile and laugh with everyone. He looked relaxed and confident, like a man who had gotten his life together. Like a man who didn't question himself anymore. He looks so fucking good. Shane flagged the bartender down and Ilya noticed the expensive watch on his wrist. A gift from Rose, maybe. So this should be fun, huh? Shane said. Always wondered what it would be like to play on the same team. Have you? Nice that it's in Florida this year, eh? Shane's beer arrived and Ilya watched him take a long haul of the bottle. He watched his throat work as he swallowed. Nothing new for him though. He couldn't take it anymore. Did you bring anyone with you? Ilya asked. Shane shook his head. No, I mean my parents thought about it, but they've been to so many of these things and they're already going to Mexico next month, so Rose Landry must be busy filming somewhere. You look good too, Ilya said. Someone take you shopping? Shane looked at him. If I tell you something, do you promise not to tell anyone or make fun of me? Ilya felt an icy stab of dread in his stomach. He braced himself and said, Sure. Ilya waited for the final words. I'm seeing someone. I'm engaged. I don't need you anymore. I hired a personal stylist. For a moment, there was silence, then Ilya burst out laughing. Fuck off, he said, delighted. I shouldn't have told you. No, I love it. Got tired of looking like shit? I didn't. Shane was trying to look angry, but Ilya could tell he was fighting a smile. I just mostly wore, athletic stuff, I guess, track pants and t-shirts and stuff. Some guys in the league are so fashionable, and I just thought I could use some help. This has nothing to do with Rose Glandry. What? No, I mean, yeah, her friends were all really well dressed all the time. I guess maybe I felt like a slob when we went out together. I've never really cared about clothes, and I thought, I don't know, I just want to present myself better, not always dressed like I'm heading to the gym. Ilya didn't miss the past tense of what Shane was saying about going out with Rose, even with this imperfect English. Are you and her not? Shane shook his head. We're not, no. It was just a short thing. She's great. We just weren't compatible. He looked seriously at Ilya. Ilya wanted to kiss him. Ilya put his hand over his mouth to hide his ridiculous smile. Honestly, the actor in the show did a really good job in this scene, so that was really good. What room are you in? Shane whispered. 1217. I'd like to talk, somewhere private. Ilya pulled his thumb away. Shane wanted to grab it back. Ilya stood and said, See you soon, before walking back towards the hotel. His phone buzzed. I'm here. He opened the door immediately. Shane slipped in. His clothes were rumpled and a little sandy from the beach. His hair had been tousled by the ocean breeze. He crossed the room without speaking at all and sat on the end of the bed. He clasped his hands together and looked at the floor. Whoa, Ilya said, This looks serious. I'm not, I mean, sort of. Just shut up for a second, alright? Shane grimaced. It's not just me, right? Not just you. I mean, you feel it too, don't you? Feel what? God, fuck off. You know what I mean. The last time we were together, it was different. We get together and we fuck. It's simple. Ilya said, Simple. Shane grumbled, Right. Ilya shrugged again. It's simple for me. Bullshit. Ilya rolled his eyes. Why was Hollander saying any of this? Why now? I think I'm gay, Shane blurted out. Ilya looked at him startled for a moment, then he laughed. Oh yeah? What gives you that idea? Shane glanced at him, which made Ilya laugh even more. The last time my dick was in your mouth, I thought you might be a little gay. Ilya teased. Fuck off, you're not gay? No, Ilya said serious again. Not completely. Well, I think I might be. Completely. Shane sighed. It's not just being gay, he said awkwardly, as if he was still getting used to the word. It's you and me. Being gay is one thing. Hooking up with your arch fucking rival is another. That is why it is a secret. I know, but then Shane ran a hand through his own hair in exasperation. Last time we were together, it was nice, he said quietly. Ilya was silent a moment, then admitted, It was. It felt like we were more. We can't be more, Hollander. I can't keep pretending I don't like you, he said finally. You don't like me, Ilya argued. I do. I maybe like you too much. Ilya's heart clenched. Don't, he groaned. Don't fucking do this, Hollander. I'm not worth it. Ilya glared at him. Gay. I'm not gay. And I can't be anything close to it. Shane laughed. Well, you're doing a shitty job of that. Not in public. I can't. I wouldn't be able to go home. Your family? Russia. I could not go home to Russia. Shane looked horrified. What would happen to you? I do not want to find out. He seemed to consider this. Would your parents help? Ilya shook his head and sat himself on the floor against the wall. My father is a cop. Oh, Shane said. Jesus, my brother is a cop. What about your mother? Dead. But now my father is sick. Sick like cancer? Ilya shook his head. No, Alzheimer's. Shane was rolling Ilya's crucifix between his thumb and his finger. Are you religious? Shane asked, or do you just wear this? I don't go to church anymore. But you believe in God? Yes, I think so. Shane didn't reply. He just considered this information. You think this is silly? No, I'm just surprised, I guess. Ilya laughed softly. What? Shane asked. You don't believe in God, but you believe if you put right stake on before left, you will play a terrible game. Shane shook his head and smiled. That's different, that's science. Ilya snorted and kissed the top of his head. It was my mother's. Oh, he stopped twirling the cross and rested it gently against Ilya's chest. Do you want to talk about anything? Your family? No, Ilya said, not tonight. You can, though, talk to me. For a moment, Ilya was very still. Thank you, he said. Stay, Ilya said. Can't. But he loved that Ilya was asking. No one will even fucking notice this week in this chaos. Too risky. Ilya shook his head. When will I have you for as long as I want? Shane's heart leapt. I don't know, as soon as possible. Yes, Ilya leaned in and kissed him. After I win the Stanley Cup this year, we should go somewhere. Shane rolled his eyes. You're not winning that cup, and where on earth would we go? You're going back to Russia this summer? Yes. Well then, where will you go? In my cottage mostly, Shane said. Sounds nice. I have to go. He brushed curls out of Ilya's eyes, and Ilya grabbed his wrist and pulled Shane's hand to his lips. He lightly kissed the tips of Shane's fingers, and Shane's breath caught. February 2017, Montreal. Lily, where are you? Home? Shane, yeah, just got back from a run. Lily, nice, all sweaty. Shane laughed, about to take a shower. Lily, we should Skype while you do it. Video phone. Shane, my phone would get wet. Lily, why have we never Skyped before? Shane was surprised by this. You'd want to? Lily, maybe, would you? He assumed Ilya was talking about like phone sex or video sex or whatever. Shane had never done anything like that with anyone before, but it was a possibility for them. If neither of them saved the call, it would be safe, right? Shane changed the subject. Nice goal last night. March 2017, Boston. Lily, what time do you fly out tomorrow? Shane stared at his phone dumbfounded. He certainly hadn't expected to be seeing Ilya before or after the game tonight. Shane, early why? No reply. Shane felt kind of bad about the why. That was needlessly bitchy. He knew why. A few minutes later, Ilya wrote back, what are you doing now? Now? Now was 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a game day against Boston. Shane, nothing, I'm in my hotel room. He stopped himself from writing why again. Lily, come over. Shane's heart stopped. Come over? Come over? Now? Shane, I can't. Don't be stupid. Lily, come over, not for long. An hour. Shane actually let out a surprised laugh. Shane, no. Come on, we both know that's a bad idea. Lily, everything we do is a bad idea. Come over. When Shane didn't reply, Ilya said, it'll be worth it, I promise. I thought you were not coming, Ilya said with an annoying little smirk. Yeah, well, Ilya's smirk grew into a genuine warm smile. Shane's heart lurched, and then they were kissing and pulling at clothing and stumbled towards the bedroom, not breaking contact. They had to be quick. Shane not only needed to leave the room, he shouldn't even have been there in the first place. Ilya pushed him down on the bed and went to work on him with his mouth. Shane watched him as he licked and sucked his cock and allowed himself a moment to wonder at Ilya's desperate need for this before a game. Why was he so hungry for Shane that he had broken their sacred rule? God, he was good with his mouth. Something is wrong with Ilya. The thought hit Shane suddenly. He should ask him about it after. Are you okay? I mean, I know we don't really talk, but if you need to, I'm fine, Ilya said. He said it calmly and easily. Shane didn't buy it. Is your dad? Ilya sighed heavily and scrubbed a hand over his face. My father is dying, but that is not your problem. I apologize in advance for tonight, Shane murmured. We're gonna destroy you guys. Dream on, Hollander. Ilya made sure that Boston won the game, not a trouncing but a respectable 2-goal lead when the final siren rang the end of the game. Ilya scored twice, Shane had scored one. Ilya's favorite kind of game. He said goodnight to his remaining teammates and left the arena. He was looking at his phone as he walked out of the players' entrance, trying to decide what obnoxious jab he should text to Hollander when the phone started ringing. It was his brother. Ilya almost didn't answer, but he could think of one reason why his brother might be calling that had nothing to do with money. He answered. Shane had been expecting a text from Ilya. He was sitting alone in his hotel room. Hayden had left to call his wife, trying not to let the mistakes of that night game haunt him. He's not going to text, he told himself. You already saw him today, why would you see him again? But he thought maybe Ilya felt the same way about their, well, not relationship, but arrangement. Shane waited until midnight and Ilya still didn't text him. He thought about being the one to make contact, but decided against it. Wanting to hook up with Ilya twice in one day was nuts. And it was way too late at night now anyway. They were flying to Detroit in the morning. He's like a little bit concerned. Just a little bit, teeny tiny bit. Not a lot. The next day, Detroit. Did you hear about Rozanov? Shane stopped trying to skate and looked at the bench across from him, where Gilbert, Comu, and JJ were chatting in French. What about Rozanov? Shane asked, also in French. They both looked at him, surprised, no doubt, by the slight panic in his voice. Comu shrugged. He didn't fly to Nashville with the rest of his team today. Are you okay? He texted. He didn't get a reply. There was still no reply by the time the team left the dressing room to go warm up. When he returned to the dressing room afterward, he quickly checked his phone. Still nothing. Forget about it. He ordered himself. It's game time. He found a private corner of the hallway outside the dressing room as he did something he'd never done before. He called Ilya Rozanov. He wasn't expecting him to answer, but he wanted the missed call to at least be recorded on Ilya's phone. He wanted Ilya to know he was concerned. But Ilya did answer. Hollander? Yeah, hi. There was a long silence. Are you okay? Shane asked finally. He heard Ilya huff out a humorless laugh. I don't know. Where are you? Home. In Boston? Are you sick? No, home. In Moscow. Shane wasn't expecting that. Moscow? Did something happen? Oh shit, your father. Yes, dead. 2 days later, Buffalo. Shane hadn't really been expecting to hear from Ilya again. He was surprised when after his game in Buffalo, he received a text. Lily, are you alone? Shane, yes. Lily, can I call you? Shane, yes. His phone rang and Shane answered it immediately. The stairwell was silent and empty. He leaned against the wall of the landing below his floor. How are you doing? He asked, not even bothering with hello. I feel like, I don't know, bad. How's your family treating you? Ilya gave a dark laugh. Like I should not be here. You wish things could have been different, Shane guessed. I wish. I wanted him to. I don't know. He sighed again. English is too hard today. I'm sorry. I wish I spoke Russian. And then he tells Ilya to basically share whatever he wants to say in Russian, even though Shane will not understand, which is very cute. Again, they are very cute when they're together. It's just that separately, they're nothing. Whatever Ilya says in the phone call is not recorded in the book, but in the show, they actually had the actors say everything in Russian and then added subtitles so people like us could understand. And I think it is one of the most well acted pieces in TV when it comes to gay people. And I just love that scene. Okay, I have seen it numerous times. It is probably still open in some tab of mine. I just love it. The next several minutes were filled with Ilya's voice sounding more animated and flustered than Shane had ever heard him. He was used to Ilya saying more with a teasing smile or a circulating look than with actual words. But now it was like a dam had burst and Shane sat himself on the stairs and let it wash over him. And what other useful phrases could you teach me? Ilya laughed. I can think of many, Hollander. Shane shifted on the stairs. I wish you were here now. Shane couldn't believe he had actually allowed himself to say that out loud. They didn't wish to be together. They reluctantly hooked up when they were in the same city because it was something to do. He felt his mortification melt away when Ilya said in a low voice, Me too. Moscow. Something occurred to Ilya after he ended the call with Shane. Maybe Shane had recorded that call and was going to run it through some sort of translating app later. But Shane wouldn't do that, would he? That admission would have been embarrassing enough, but Ilya had also slipped in and on top of everything, I'm pretty sure I'm in love with you and I don't know what to do about it. The next day, Montreal. Shane had barely gotten in the door of his apartment before he texted Ilya. He had been thinking about him all day. Shane, how are you doing? Lily, fantastic. Shane waited. A little bit drunk, actually. Shane, can I call you? Lily, yes. If you are wondering if I will be back in time for our game in Montreal, I don't give a shit about that, Ilya. You know that's not why I'm calling. Another sigh. Should you really be alone right now? Shane asked. I'm not alone, Ilya said. You are here now, yes? I'm home now, Montreal. Shane heard mattress spring squeak as Ilya presumably settled himself on his bed. Tell me about your home, Hollander, he said in a tired voice. What does it look like? I tried to imagine it. You do? You will not let me see it. That's not, Shane grimaced. It's not because I don't want you here, you know that. I don't want to come back here. Shane was confused by the sudden topic change. To Russia, you mean? Duh. I want to become American or Canadian. You should, Shane said. Have you looked into... We should get married, Ilya said. What? Shane flushed right down to his toes. Not to each other, Ilya said. Then he started laughing and couldn't stop. He's never going to be your boyfriend, Shane. Oh god, that was what Shane wanted, wasn't it? He didn't just want to be Ilya's dirty secret. He didn't want their relationship to be nothing but sex. He wanted to comfort Ilya when he was sad and talk to him on the phone and snuggle together on the couch and watch movies. He would take the short phone call they had just shared over any of their sexual encounters, well, almost any of their sexual encounters. Shane groaned and fell back on his bed, covering his face with his hands. He was super fucked. The next day, Moscow. Ilya would fly back to Boston tomorrow. Andrei was the executor of their father's estate. What little of it there wasn't, and Ilya had fulfilled his duty as a son. He was done. He made an impulsive decision to give his Moscow condo to his brother. Andrei would sell it or meet his mistresses there. Ilya couldn't care less. He just didn't want to deal with selling it. There wasn't even anything in it that he wanted. He sat on his bed in that condo. It could be his last night living there. He could think of one thing he would like to do to commemorate the occasion. Ilya, are you home? The reply was immediate. Jane, yes. Ilya smiled and wrote Skype. He waited and wondered if Shane understood what Ilya was suggesting. Okay, Shane texted back. Just a second. Ilya decided to make things a little clearer for Shane just in case he didn't get it. He pulled his t-shirt off and dropped it on the floor, then stacked some pillows in front of the headboard and settled himself on the mattress. He sent Shane a video call request. Shane accepted, and there he was, filling the screen of Ilya's iPad. He was wearing a hoodie and glasses. Holy shit, Hollander, do you wear glasses? Oh, Shane reached up and touched the frames of his glasses as if he didn't believe Ilya. Just when I read, it's new, he pulled them off. No, Ilya said, grinning. I like them. Well, Shane said, and damn if he wasn't blushing already. I can see you a lot better if I leave them on. He watched Shane bite his bottom lip. God, he's cute. Were you thinking we could, do stuff? Shane asked nervously. Yes, but first show me your bedroom. I'm dying to see it. Really? Alright, Shane tapped on the screen and flipped the camera. Suddenly, Ilya was looking at a king-size bed with a navy blue comforter. That's the bed, he heard Shane say off camera. Oh, is it? Fuck you, you asked for this. Here's the dresser, and the bathroom is over there, and the closet, and here's the view. Why don't you get on the bed? He suggested. So much for small talk, I guess, and take your shirt off. Bossy, Ilya waited as Shane put his tablet or whatever down, causing the screen to go black. He heard rustling noises, and then Ilya was looking at the end of Shane's bed. Better? Shane asked. No, turn the camera around. Oh shit, here. And now a shirtless Shane Hollander's face and shoulders and glasses filled the screen. Better. Shane smiled. It's good to see you again. I'd like to see you wearing nothing but those glasses, Ilya said. I don't think my camera can show that much at once. Next time we are together then. Yeah, next time. Ilya let his head sink into the pillows. He kept it turned facing the camera. Do you remember after the NHL awards in what year was it? 2014, Shane said quickly. Yeah, I do. I think about that night a lot. Do you? It was memorable. It was. Ilya agreed. You put on a show for me. You are very beautiful, Ilya said. Shane smiled without opening his eyes. Come on, it's the truth. Your freckles. Ilya grazed a fingertip over his own screen. I am nuts about them. I have no idea why. I hate them. No, Ilya moaned. Hollander, they are stunning. Stunning? Yes, am I not using the word correct? Very beautiful. Take my breath. Wow, alright. The skin under Shane's freckles turned very, very pink. The first time I met you, those freckles. The first time, you mean at the World Juniors? In Saskatchewan? Yes. Shane huffed out a surprised laugh. You were such a dick to me. I did not like you, just your freckles. I'm fucked, he murmured in Russian. I'm so fucking in love and it's horrible. When he looked back at the screen, he could see Shane's sex-drunk eyes gazing longingly at him from behind his glasses. It's sexy when you speak Russian, you know that. Because I don't sound ridiculous like with my accent. Tell you a secret? Your accent doesn't sound ridiculous at all. No? You like it? I do, and I want to learn Russian. I wasn't kidding about that. I'll teach you. April 2017, Montreal. Shane could see Ilya standing near the center line as their two teams warmed up before their final match of the season. He was talking to one of his teammates, helmet off, his hair still soft and dry around his face. Shane skated the perimeter of Montreal's half of the ice and came to a slow stop in front of Ilya. Hey, Ilya glanced at him and nodded. Hollander. Shane flipped his stick around so he could pretend he was inspecting the tape on his blade. We're still on for tonight? After Ilya nodded again, his gaze fixed on the corner of the arena. Same place? Yeah. Ilya loved playing against Hollander as much as he loved fucking him. He was in the corner with him now, battling for the puck, and this was his favorite part of the game. Hollander won and skated away with his prize. Ilya smiled to himself and raced off after him. Shane was a better stick handler, and that is new information to absolutely no one. But Ilya was a fast skater, and he caught up with him and poked the puck off his blade from behind. Poked the puck off his blade from behind? Ilya Rozanov, I know what you are. Ilya had the puck for all of 3 seconds before Shane forced him into the boards and stole it back, then took off again with a challenging, somewhat flirty glance back at Ilya. Ilya grinned and launched himself after him, but this time Shane was flying and Ilya was struggling to close the gap, and then, oh god, no. It happened so fast, Ilya could barely process it. 1 second Shane was racing down the ice, and the next he was slamming against the boards after colliding hard with Cliff Marlowe. And then he was crumpled and motionless on the ice, and Ilya didn't know what to do. Shane, blurry bright shapes and screeching noise. Don't move, alright? Just stay still. We're going to take you off the ice. Ice? Hollander, a different voice. Ilya, did I say that? Shane heard his own voice, but had he moved his lips, he blinked, trying to get his eyes to focus. Is he alright? That was Ilya's voice for sure. It sounded different though. It was unsteady, panicked. Okay, Shane murmured. He had no idea if it was true, but he didn't want to hear the worry in Ilya's voice anymore. We're going to move you onto the spinal board, Shane. Keep your head still, please. Spinal board? Ilya, please stand back, the authoritative voice said, and the dark blur that had been looming over Shane disappeared. We're not alone, Shane slurred. Ilya, they can see us. He felt hands on his arms and legs. He felt straps securing him to the board. Is he alright? Ilya's voice again. No one answered him. Tell him, Shane said. Tell him I'm fine. He wanted to turn his head to look at Ilya, but he couldn't now. They scrapped one of these lines from the show, but just so you know, it will always be famous. Fucking Marlowe. He knew Cliff felt bad. He didn't mean to hit Shane so hard or at such an awkward angle, but Ilya still wanted to kill him. The door was open a crack, so Ilya gently pushed it open. Hollander was elevated a bit by the hospital bed into an almost sitting position. The room was, to Ilya's relief, otherwise empty. Ilya, Shane exclaimed. He had his left arm in a sling. Hi, Ilya said awkwardly. I just needed, are you? I'm okay, Shane said. He smiled shyly, and Ilya knew he was happy to see him. I mean, I have a concussion and a fractured collarbone. I'm out of the playoffs, but could have been worse. Yeah, you scared me, Ilya admitted. Scared myself, but you will be okay. I wanted to tell you last night. I wish I could have texted you. I was. Shane's eyes fluttered closed as Ilya's fingers trailed into his hair. I had been looking forward to last night, Shane murmured. Yes, I'm mostly mad at Marlo for fucking that up, Ilya laughed. When will we get a chance again, Shane asked. I wanted to talk to you last night before this happened. Ilya had wanted to talk too, but he was sure Shane wouldn't have liked what he had planned to say. He had convinced himself that only sensible thing to do was to end this thing between them entirely. No good could possibly come of it. Ilya's heart had entered into it, and that changed everything. It wasn't thrilling or fun anymore, it was torture. He was going to tell Shane as much last night, but now, Shane, he sighed. Shane reached his head up and took Ilya's tangling fingers together and holding tight. Will you come to my cottage? I don't know. No, there was no way Ilya could do that. He couldn't possibly spend that much time alone with Shane, not if he ever wanted to be free of this. We can have a week or two, Ilya, Shane said. Haven't you ever wanted more time? Ilya's stomach clenched. He should just say no. Let Shane believe that he didn't want any more of him for more than an hour or two. They stole a few times each session. But instead, he brushed his thumb over the back of Shane's hand and said, of course. Then come to my cottage, please. It will just be the two of us completely alone for as long as you want to stay. God, that sounded so perfect, and Shane was looking at him like his heart would shatter if Ilya said no, so Ilya took the coward's way out. Maybe. May 2017, Ottawa. Rosanov is hurt. Shane turned his head from where he was lying on the couch to look at his mother. What makes you say that? He asked. He's protecting his ribs. You can tell by the way he was angled. Look, she said, pointing at a slow-mo replay on the screen right here. He turns away from the hit. He could have taken Hunter off the puck there, but he chickened out. He hadn't heard from Ilya as often as he would have liked, but he knew he was busy, focused. I think New York is going to win the cup, his mother said. New York? Yes, Scott Hunter is determined. You can see it. 9 seasons without a cup. He'll make sure he gets this one. Una Hollander was rarely wrong about these things. Well, his father said cheerfully, at least we won't have to watch Rosanov lift the cup. He remembered being so happy to see him, even now just knowing that Ilya had made the trip to the hospital filled Shane with a tingly warmth. Shane was so completely in love with him, he would hit his head all over again just to be alone in that quiet hospital room with those careful fingers and those concerned eyes. He was in love with him, and he could never ever tell him that. But maybe he could at least tell his parents part of the truth. Jesus, but how? Just blurt it out? How did people do this? Have you heard from Rose Landry lately? This book is just a bunch of tongue twisters. His mother asked, completely out of nowhere, and wasn't that a fucking sign? Yeah, she texted me when I was in the hospital. She saw that I got hurt. His mother looked pleased by that. Well, no time like present. We're just friends, Mom. The game ended. Ilya's season was over. It was only a matter of time before everything would be over. And Shane didn't know what he could do to prevent it, but he knew he wanted to. June 2017, Boston. Jane, I can't believe New York is finally going to win the cup. Ilya couldn't believe it either. Scott fucking Hunter was going to be a Stanley Cup champion in about 40 seconds. Ilya, I hate Hunter. He'd had every intentions of ending things with Shane. He hadn't been able to do that. Not yet for now. They could text each other and tease each other and pretend they were just friends or whatever. Shane's invitation for Ilya to come to his cottage still existed. Shane wasn't pushing it and Ilya wasn't acknowledging it, but it was there. If it wasn't the worst idea in the world, Ilya would be on his way to whatever the fuck Ontario already. Players on the television were kissing their wives and holding their children. It would be nice, Ilya thought, to have someone to kiss after winning the cup. Maybe that should be his goal for next year. Forget about Shane and find himself a woman he could like enough to keep around until the end of the playoffs. Ilya reached for the remote and was about to turn the television off when holy shit, Scott fucking Hunter was kissing a man, not like one of his teammates on the cheek in an I love you bro kind of way. Scott Hunter was kissing a man wearing street clothes full on the fucking mouth. Right in front of everybody's salad. It looked like tongues were involved. Ilya's phone buzzed. Jane, holy shit. Are you seeing this? What the fuck? Is that his boyfriend? What is happening? Did he really just do that? Ilya tapped the call button. There was only one ring before. Holy shit, Ilya, can you believe I'm coming to the cottage? This is where I will go into the uncharted territory for me because by the time you're watching this, the episode is already out. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to change in that episode because I heard that the ending of the book is different from the show. So let's see. Part 4. July 2017, Ottawa. Shane drummed his fingers anxiously on the steering wheel. He wished he could have gone into the airport to greet Ilya properly, but one of them alone in the airport would turn enough heads. The two of them together would be a pandemonium. What the fuck are you driving, Hollander? A Jeep Cherokee? Ilya snorted. What? It's practical. You're a millionaire. I stocked up on groceries yesterday, Shane said. We shouldn't need to leave very often. They drove in silence for a few minutes. Shane wondered if Ilya was as panicked as he suddenly was. 2 weeks alone together, possibly constantly alone together. What the hell? What the hell had he been thinking when he? What the hell? Had What the hell had he been thinking when he'd suggested this? Thank you, Ilya said suddenly, for inviting me. Shane felt his panic subside. I'm glad you're here. Ilya was hit with a sudden wave of holy shit, this is really happening when Shane parked the car in front of the large lake house that Ilya had seen profiled on television. Hollander, he realized, had removed Ilya's bags from the trunk and was carrying it towards the house as if Ilya was his visiting aunt or something. I can carry my own bag. Shane just kept walking. How are your ribs? He asked. My ribs are fine. I can carry the bag. I can't believe you played with those bruised ribs. You can't? Shane shot him a grin over his shoulder. I guess I can. Jesus Christ, he was in Shane Hollander's home. They stood for a moment silently staring at each other, waiting for whatever was going to happen next. Finally, Ilya surged a hand up and brushed the back of his fingers against Shane's cheek. Shane unconsciously licked his lip and Ilya moved in to kiss him. The moment Shane's mouth opened under his, everything made sense. All of Ilya's nerves left him, and he grabbed at Shane's t-shirt and pulled him closer. Shane made a little moaning sound and plunged his fingers under Ilya's ball cap, knocking it to the floor. He tangled his fingers in Ilya's hair and began walking him backward to the leather sofa. Fuck, Shane panted. It's been kind of a while. I might not last long. Yes, same. But we have 2 weeks, right? Shane laughed. Right then. Wait, same? You said same. You haven't been with anyone lately. Ilya grimaced. He probably shouldn't have admitted that, but no. Like, not since. No, not since. Can we please go back to. Really? Shane pulled back so he could look Ilya directly in the eyes. He looked stunned and way too happy. It's not a big deal, Hollander. Relax. It's been like months, yes, which is why I would really like to. I haven't either, Shane said quickly. Not since the last time we were together in Boston. I have an idea, Shane said. He was brushing his thumb over Ilya's lip as he said it. What? Ilya asked with more bravery than he felt. Let's be honest with each other. For these 2 weeks, let's just say what we're actually thinking, maybe say how we really feel. I can't, Ilya wanted to say. I can't because if I do, you'll think I'm pathetic, or worse, you'll say it back and then what the fuck are we supposed to do? I will try, he said instead. Will you? Shane asked skeptically. Yes, I will do anything if it makes you touch my dick right now. As expected, Ilya didn't last long, neither did Shane, when Ilya immediately returned the favor, but the surprising thing was that the blowjobs were not the best part of the afternoon. Afterwards, now that they had taken the edge off, they just relaxed against each other on the sofa. Ilya couldn't believe what he had been reduced to. He was infatuated. It was disgusting, but it was hard to care when Shane was lying on top of him. His smooth chest and stomach turned every inch of Ilya's own, his bangs hanging down to brush Ilya's nose, his dark eyes and his freckles and his smile. Shane looked so happy. Somehow Ilya made him happy. Ilya wanted to always make him happy. I didn't tell you, Ilya said after about the NHL awards. After? Yes, I went out with Scott Hunter. Shane missed the next pass. What do you mean? There was a club having a Scott Hunter night, whatever the fuck that means. A club like a gay club, yes. So I thought I would go. I'm sorry, you went to a gay club in Las Vegas with Scott Hunter? And his boyfriend. Very nice guy. So, does Hunter know you're? I did not say anything. He may have guessed something. He grinned. There were some very hot men there. And now Shane's face changed to the expression Ilya called clenched disapproval. It really made me hopeful that things might be changing. Ilya shot the puck back to Shane. It made me jealous, he admitted. Shane laughed. You wanna kiss me on the television? Yes, after I win the Stanley Cup. Shane pressed his arms out. Oh, so in this romantic scenario, you've just defeated me? Yes, sorry. I'm not going to be in the mood to kiss you if I've just lost the Stanley Cup, Rosnoff. Well, I have 4 guest rooms, Shane said, playing along. Would you like one with a view? I need one with a king-sized bed. Shane walked towards Ilya and grinned. They all have king-sized beds. And an ensuite bathroom. Oh, Shane said with the mock concern, I'm afraid there's only one room with an ensuite bathroom. I have very specific needs. I'll try to be accommodating. I want to sleep in your bed, Shane Hollander, Ilya murmured. I want to do lots of things in my bed. Show me. Take me to bed. This shit is so boring and badly written. And I've read it 3 times. I physically cannot react to it anymore. I still feel that embarrassment though. Shane moaned helplessly and arched his body against Ilya. He wrapped a leg around Ilya's thighs and pulled him closer. The kiss felt weird. Oh, now it's getting weird for y'all? Anyways, and Shane realized it was because neither of them could stop smiling. Your hair, he murmured. Yes, now take off your clothes. Here, let me help you. He crawled on his knees on the bed until he could press his mouth against Ilya's stomach. Okay, he licked along the lines of Ilya's muscle and he heard Ilya let out a shaky breath. Don't tease me, Ilya said. I have waited too long for this. Shane opened the mouth. Shane opened the front of Ilya's. So done. Shane opened the front of Ilya's shorts and playfully nipped at his chest. Okay, whatever. Months, years, Ilya sighed. Years I have wanted to have you in your real bed. Shane froze. Years? Even he was weirded the fuck out. Ilya wrapped long fingers around Shane's jaw and tilted his head up to meet his gaze. Yes, Shane swallowed. Get those shorts off, he managed to scrape out. Ilya was going to leave a mark, a hickey, if they kept sucking at Shane's neck. But Shane realized that it didn't matter. For the first time ever, they didn't have to worry about evidence, about anything. No one would ever know what happened here. No one is getting pregnant here. Harder, Shane said. I want to see it later. Shane was flooded with relief and the delicious burn that pulsed from the spot where Ilya had marked him. Ilya gently licked the spot, which I'm pretty sure tasted like skin, and Shane squirmed happily. Mine, Ilya's breath tickled Shane's skin where he spoke the single word, yours, yours, Shane said dreamily. All of this, for 2 weeks, is mine. Forever, Shane wanted to say, forever if you ask. He knew it was impossible, but in that moment he would do anything to make it work. There had to be a solution to their problem, but for now he just said, fuck me please. Ilya reached the base of Shane's spine, and Shane expected him to pull away, maybe grab the loo, but instead, Ilya did something he had never done before. He kept going. His tongue slipped into the crease of Shane's ass as his big hands pulled his cheeks apart. Shane held his breath. He couldn't believe Ilya was actually going to. Oh god, Ilya. Shane felt the wet heat of Ilya's tongue lapping at his hole, and he had never experienced anything like this. It was impossibly intimate. There is nothing more intimate than getting your ass ate, except for maybe showering together, giving each other hand jobs, blowing each other off until one of you comes into the mouth of the other one, or perhaps cyber sex, or doing it in the bathroom, or doing it on the floor, or doing it on the bed. I could just go on forever, so let's just carry on. It was so bold and fearless and so Ilya. Fuck. Ilya, holy god, that's amazing. Thank you. Fuck. The thank you was embarrassing. As if the rest of it wasn't, but Shane didn't dwell on it. Just like he refused to be embarrassed by the desperate noises Ilya was drawing out of him by fucking his ass with his tongue, and here comes Mr. Deep Dish Pussy. I just feel so sorry for everyone in this apartment building who's having to hear me say everything I'm saying. Shane was going to come, if only it was in his senses. The realization hit him suddenly, and in a panic, he jerked his hips off the bed to remove any friction against his aching cock. Again, why is every sexual encounter in this book sound like a medical emergency? Why is his cock aching? Have you considered seeing a doctor, perhaps? I heard they got ointments for that. Unfortunately, the move only caused him to smash Ilya in the face with his ass. Isn't that where he wants to be, though? What the fuck, Hollander? Sorry, he turned to look over his shoulder and Ilya was rubbing his jaw and scowling. I'm sorry, Shane said again. I don't want to come yet. Ilya rolled his eyes but his lips twitched. I guess that is a compliment. It is, Shane agreed quickly. He flipped over to his back. That felt incredible. Good. Did you like doing that? Ilya nodded. I did. Yes, until you bashed me in the face. What? Shane asked. I was hoping there would be toys. I don't keep any here. You have a big stash in Montreal? Shane blushed. No, just one lonely dildo? Yes. Shane slammed his head back into the pillow. He was not above whining at this point. Please shut up and fuck me. Shane cried out into the room. He let himself be as loud as he'd always wanted to be because he could. Oh, Shane, yes, I want to hear it. Ilya slammed into him over and over, making the headboard bang against the wall. Shane reached a hand up to steady it, but Ilya just covered his hand with his own, bracing himself against the wall and fucking him even harder. Shane lifted his legs and rested his ankles on Ilya's shoulders. Ilya growled and lunged forward, folding Shane in half and sinking deeper inside him. The moment this scene is going to hit the screens this weekend, I just know what's gonna happen. This is going to be everywhere, isn't it? You thirsty bitches, I just know you guys are not gonna let this shit slip away. You look like... Are you going to come, Hollander? Yeah, Shane gasped. Oh fuck, yes, come on. Ilya thrust faster, keeping his eyes on Shane's dick, and then Shane erupted. He screamed and arched and watched with Ilya as his stick coated his stomach and chest. Shane, it was the only word Ilya managed to grit out before he stilled and came inside him. We could stay in bed for 2 weeks, Shane suggested. Ilya shook his head. No, I want to fuck you in every room of this house. The following evening, Ilya leaned against the rail of the deck and watched Shane flip burgers on the barbecue. Shane seemed very excited about the burgers. He had followed a recipe online. Ilya took a sip of his beer. Why the fuck are you making 8 burgers? He asked. That's how many the recipe asked for. I would bring some of the burgers over to my parents' cottage, but that would ruin the whole I can't be disturbed, I'm meditating lie I told them. Ilya kissed his neck. Have you ever lied to your parents before? Shane shuddered. Probably, I must have. But not often, no. You love your parents. You are a good son. I try to be. They don't know how bad you can be. Stop it. What is your mother's name? Shane pulled away and turned to face him. What are you doing? Why all these questions? He was frowning as if he suspected Ilya was making fun of him. What? I want to know about your family. All I know is your mother is Japanese or something, probably where you get your looks. Half of them, yes, and your dad is boring. Is that where you get your boring from? Shane shook his head, but he was smiling a bit. My dad is not boring. Maybe I will meet them someday. Shane froze. Ilya saw the tension grip his back and shoulders. Relax, Ilya said. It was a joke. I know I won't. I'd like you to, Shane said quietly. I wish you could, if things were different. Ilya reached out and tapped Shane's elbow. Shane turned to face him. Do they know? About you? No, Ilya lied. About you. Shane looked down and shook his head. No, they would not be good if you told them. I don't know. He said they are the best. Shane looked up. They are, I think they would be fine with it. I know they would be really. They love me. They've always supported me. They aren't homophobic at all, I don't think. It's just not something we've ever really talked about. Maybe you should. Shane turned and picked up a plate that he started piling burger patties on. Sometimes I think I would have told them by now if it wasn't for... Ilya raised an eyebrow that Shane couldn't see. Is it my fault? No, yes, sort of. I just think if I had a normal dating life or whatever, still dating men but not doing whatever we're doing with you, you don't want to tell your parents that you're fucking Ilya Rozanov? Shane sputtered out a laugh. No, I definitely do not want to have to explain that to them. This is just obnoxious. This is ridiculous. Like, Shane, you're just making shit up at this point. This whole thing with Shane and his parents, it just seems so... I don't know. I think she just did this to balance it out with Ilya's whole situation with his family and Russia, which is why this just feels so... I don't know. This does not feel okay. Now, with Ilya, his stakes were very high. His mother was dead. There was a lot of emotional stuff that is going on, and which is, by the way, dealt through in the second book. And he had a cop father, he had a cop brother, and then we have Shane with perfect parents, with parents who are not homophobic. And somehow explaining to them that he is dating this guy is very difficult because he is his rival. It just does not work. The truth was that Shane thought about Ilya meeting his parents a lot. He was kind of obsessed with the idea. He couldn't even form a clear thought about why it was so important for him. For one thing, it was an absurd, terrible idea that there was absolutely no reason why he should want it to happen. Just making shit up at this point. The real, actual truth, the truth that Shane mentally stomped on every time it dared try to get his attention, was that he wanted Ilya to meet his parents for the same reason anyone wanted their boyfriends to meet their parents. He loved him and he wanted them to love him too. Except Ilya was not Shane's boyfriend. And even if he was, if Shane introduced Ilya as his boyfriend, they would be beyond confused. For one thing, he supposedly hated Ilya Rozanov, and they hated Ilya Rozanov, and everyone in the whole goddamn world of hockey knew that Shane Hollander hated Ilya Rozanov. If Shane removed all of the complications of their relationship, the rivalry, the expectations for both of them, the fact that Ilya was kind of a dick, he could just be proud of the fact that that man was really hot, like Shane had definitely snagged himself a 10. Shane's phone suddenly lit up, the screen startlingly bright in the dark that surrounded them. When Shane glanced at the screen, his face lit up almost as brightly. What? Ilya asked. He couldn't help it. Shane said absently as he typed something. Nothing, just a message from Rose. Ilya snorted. Rose? What does Rose want? She's just checking in. Hey, you're not jealous, are you? No, it was the least convincing lie ever. Ilya, I'm gay. Not too gay to fuck Rose Landry. Shane put the phone down and glared at him. Oh my god, I only slept with her a couple of times and they were both disasters. Believe me, she is not looking for a repeated performance. Ilya suppressed a grin. Disasters? I'm not giving you the details, so shut it, Shane grumbled. It was so eerily quiet, just the crackling of the fire, the occasional lap of water from the lake, and a fucking wolf. That was a fucking wolf howl. What the fuck was that? Ilya said. He couldn't conceal the terror in his voice. But who the fuck cared because they were surrounded by hungry wolves? Shane laughed. It's a loon. A what? A loon. Shane was really laughing now. It's a bird, like a duck, kind of. Oh my god, you thought it was a wolf? What the fuck bird makes a noise like that? A loon, Shane said. Then he doubled over in hysterics. Ilya wanted to push him into the fire. Fuck you and your loon, Ilya said. Stupid Canadian wolf bird. I'm sorry, Shane said, for no reason at all. Why? Your family. My parents are so great. I just wish you had that too. Ilya shrugged. My mother was great. He knew he shouldn't have said that because it was only going to lead to how did she die. It had been 14 years almost, but a lump formed in Ilya's throat. Anyway, an accident, he said sardonically. An accident? Shane asked. His hand was on Ilya's arm now, squeezing him through the sleeve of his hooded sweatshirt. Yes, Ilya said with a tight, humorless smile. She accidentally swallowed a whole bottle of pills. Oops. How old were you? Shane asked. 12, and then somehow words scraped their way out of Ilya's throat that he had never shared with anyone before. I found her. I don't want you to think she was weak, Ilya said. She wasn't. She was amazing. But she was so sad, and my father was so hard on her. Ilya didn't cry, not really. He wiped quickly at his eyes to remove the moisture and just breathed Shane in. He smelled like wood smoke because everything around them smelled like wood smoke, and it made Ilya want a cigarette. What the fuck, you can't pick Montreal. I just did, Ilya pointed out, gesturing his PlayStation controller at the television. Well then, I picked Boston. Good choice. They had barely gotten past the first puck drop when Shane's phone rang. Shane glanced at it and frowned. It's Hayden, I should get it. Ilya rolled his eyes and hit pause. He didn't actually know Hayden Pike at all. He knew he was an average forward, extremely unremarkable in the looks department, and Shane's best friend. Shane walked a few steps behind the couch standing between the living room and the kitchen. Hey Hayden, how's the baby? Ilya smirked to himself. Shane had forgotten Hayden's baby's name. Amber, right. Is she good? Hayden must have had a very long answer to that question because Shane went silent for a while. Ilya endured about 5 minutes of Shane saying nothing but, oh yeah, and that's cool, and right before he stood and gave Shane a look. Shane shrugged at him. What do you want me to do? Ilya had an idea. He crossed the room until he was standing right in front of Shane. He gave him a little smile and Shane furrowed his brow at him. Ilya's gaze darted down to Shane's crotch, then back up again. Shane shook his head silently. So how's Jackie doing? Shane asked the phone. Tired? Ilya unfastened the button on Shane's shirt. Shane shook his head again, more forcefully this time. But he wasn't stopping him. Ilya slowly pulled down the zipper and was rewarded with a sharp inhale from Shane. Shane's shorts dropped to the floor and Ilya sank to his knees. He glanced up and saw Shane mouthing, don't, eyes bugged wide. Ilya pulled an exaggerated, confused face, don't what? He carefully peeled Shane's briefs off and slid them down to join his shorts on the floor. Shane bit his bottom lip as he gazed back at him and Ilya knew it was game on. Just 1 second, Hayden, my mom is calling. 1 sec. He hit the mute button on his phone and snarled at Ilya. What the fuck? Knock it off. I think you wanted. I mean, no, it's fucking creepy. It's hard though. Yes? Shane huffed. Later, okay? I might not want it later. Ilya, I won't touch you. If you don't get hard, I won't do anything. Deal? Shane's mouth fell open. I won't get hard. Okay, then no problem. Shane scowled at him, then went back to call. Sorry about that, Hayden. My mom can be really annoying sometimes. Just throwing his mom under the bus when it's just his boyfriend sucking him off. Be for real. Sucking dick and cock. Time and place. Ilya grinned up at him. He made a show of putting his hands behind his back. Shane's eyes shot daggers at him. Then they turned up to the ceiling. Wow, Shane said, his voice straining. So, do you think she's going to? Oh, right. Yeah. Ilya ignored the head of Shane's cock and dipped his head lower. He cupped Shane's balls gently in his head and pressed his lips to them. Shane's body jerked, but he didn't move away. Sorry, Shane said to Hayden, his voice remarkably even. Is Mark your sister's husband? Oh, okay, got it. This was great. Ilya loved playing like this. He wasn't even sure what the goal was of this game, but the fact that Shane hadn't ended the call led Ilya to believe that he was enjoying the challenge of staying quiet. To his credit, Shane's whimper was barely audible when Ilya started stroking a finger behind his balls. Ilya was proud of him, but he still wasn't going to make this easy for him. You know, this is such a long scene. I'm just really intrigued. How are they going to show this in the show? I know it's a very explicit show, but the kind of details that we have in this scene, how are they gonna do this? I'm really interested in seeing that. Shane pulled the phone away from his ear and frantically hit the mute button. Ah, fuck. His free hand grabbed Ilya's shoulder, fingers tightening almost painfully as he spasmed and emptied himself into Ilya's mouth. Shane took a deep breath in and out once his orgasm had finished and hit the mute button again. You there? Sorry, bad connection out here sometimes. Shane must have ended the call because suddenly he was on top of Ilya on the couch, hitting him with another pillow. Fuck you, you asshole. That was the worst. Ilya pulled the pillow he was holding to his face away. It was not. God, fuck you. Why was that so hard? Because you like to be bad, Shane Hollander. I could marry Svetlana, Ilya said out of nowhere. It was the following night and they were playing pool. Oh, Shane asked calmly. She is American, so it would mean American citizenship. But she would do it. Would she? I think so. She is Sergei Petrov's daughter. Did you know? What? Really? Yes, she would help me. Shane watched Ilya sink the 12 ball and then the 14 ball. He felt like snapping his own cue over his knee. Is she someone that you would want to marry? Ilya straightened his posture and looked at him. I like Svetlana, yes, but it would be for citizenship. I like women. I always was thinking that to get married would be nice, kids, all of that someday, but the problem will not go away. Shane bit his lip. Tell me about this problem. It's so annoying, Ilya sighed, and Shane could see him fighting a grin. Always I am with beautiful women, wonderful women everywhere. Sounds rough? Yes, listen, these women they are so sexy and fun, but it's no matter. I cannot stop thinking about this short fucking hockey player with these stupid freckles and a weak backhand. A weak backhand? Shane couldn't stop smiling. Yes, and he's just so boring and he drives a terrible car, and that is my problem. All of these beautiful women, and I'm always wishing they were him. Is terrible problem. Shane was going to start crying right here in this games room. He swallowed and stared at himself. Do you want the problem to go away? No, Ilya said seriously, looking Shane dead in the eye. I do not want the problem to go away. Don't marry Svetlana, Shane blurted out. Ilya raised an eyebrow. Just don't. I know it wouldn't be for love or whatever, but don't. I couldn't. We can figure something else out, okay? Ilya looked surprised, but he nodded. Okay. I have an idea, Shane said. She'd been thinking about what Ilya had proposed all day and had come up with a plan of his own. He propped himself up on an elbow and poked the sleepy Russian in the shoulder. Ilya rolled over. What idea? About what? What if you played for Ottawa? Ottawa, it's almost as bad as playing for Boston. We would be rivals just the same. Yes, but listen, first of all, Ottawa desperately needs a star center, so there's an opening there, but what if you played there and we changed the narrative a bit? The what? What the fuck with these words, Hollander? I'm tired. Sorry, I just mean we could still be rivals on the ice, but we wouldn't have to pretend to be enemies. I mean, lots of guys have friends all over the league, but we're like the only guys who have this whole story built around them where we can't stand each other and love nothing more than destroying each other every time our teams meet. That story was kind of true for a long time, Hollander. Shane smiled a little. Yeah, well, it's not true now. I think it's safe to say that, right? Sure, there are going to be new players, young players, and new rivalries will form. Do we really need to keep this distance up until we both retire? Ilya's brow furrowed. It's very late, Hollander. This is a lot of English. What is your idea? You play for Ottawa, I play for Montreal. Those cities are an hour apart. We start a charity together, you and me. Something that benefits both cities. So now people see us working together on something. We make up a story about how I approached you with this idea or I approached you. Whatever, the point is we tell the press, the fans, everyone that by working together on the cause that means so much to both of us, we have developed a mutual respect for each other. Yes, and also we are fucking each other. Any questions? Fuck off. This is a great idea, Rosanov. Ilya laughed. Shane hit him with the pillow. It's not bad, Ilya finally conceded. So we start this charity, and it wouldn't be bullshit either. I've been wanting to start one anyway. We'll do something that means a lot to both of us. Yes, okay. And maybe someday when we both retire, we can be together for real. Ilya looks stunned by that part. You really think that far ahead, Hollander? I do about this. You want that to be together? I do so much it terrifies me. But Ilya turned back and quickly rolled on top of Shane and was kissing him and kept murmuring the same thing in Russian over and over until he pulled back and translated, I love you. Shane froze and then Ilya froze. Holy shit, Shane whispered. It wasn't how he had meant to respond. Ilya's eyes were so wide and so scared. I love you too, Shane said. Ilya gave a shaky smile and exhaled. Thank Christ. And after this, they do what they have been doing for a very long time. Rachel Reed came with a purpose, and she stood on business. Clothes were taken off in ways clothes were never taken off before. Lips were kissed in ways lips were never kissed before. Dicks were sucked in ways dicks were never sucked before, and ass was fucked in ways ass was never fucked before. They both heard a noise, they both whipped their heads around, they both saw Shane's dad standing inside the house, staring frozen at where they were wrapped up in each other on the deck. For a moment, no one moved, no one made a sound, everyone just stared. Then very quickly, Shane's dad turned on his heel and walked toward the front door of the house. Shane let go of Ilya and said, shit. Your father? Yes? Yes, fuck, shit. Okay. Shane held his head with both hands. Fuck, should you? Yeah, okay, you wait here. Is this bad? Shane finally said. You should go talk to him. Yeah, shit, yeah, I should probably best to do it now. He heard Ilya snort behind him. It's not funny, Shane snapped at him. A little funny. Shane turned around ready to glare at him, but when he saw Ilya's face, he started laughing too. Jesus Christ, he said, so much for easing them into it. Ilya laughed harder. Maybe he did not notice. What the fuck am I going to tell them? So you're probably wondering why I was making out with Ilya Rozanov. Do you want me to come with you? I don't know. Would you really do that? Ilya took his hand and squeezed. Yes. If it helps. Shane nodded. It might. It will be awkward as hell, but I'd like you to be there. Oh, I think. Okay, we should probably get dressed first. Yes. Ilya was wearing a Boston Bears t-shirt. Shane made a face. That's not going to help. Oh, do they not know I play for Boston? Shane rolled his eyes. Come on, let's get this over with. Shane, his mother said. She said it like she had never heard the word before. Mom, Dad, I I think we should talk. We forgot to buy dishwasher tablets, Dad said. He sounded shell shocked. I just wanted to see if I could borrow some. I didn't know you had company. Dad, it's okay. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have found out that way. Found out what exactly? Mom asked. Her eyes were locked on Ilya just over Shane's shoulder. Well, I'm gay, which I was going to tell you soon. Sorry, I wish I told you. His parents didn't say anything. They were both looking at Ilya like he was a mountain lion that was about to attack. This is Ilya Roznov. You probably know that. Hi, Ilya said, and he's been visiting. What were they exactly? It occurred to Shane that he and Ilya hadn't even figured out what label they were comfortable with. Lovers, Ilya offered. Fuck, way to choose the grossest possible word, Ilya. Well, there was no going back from that word. Shane could only wait for the aftermath. But you hate him, Mom said. No, I don't. I mean, sometimes I do, kinda, but mostly I love him, actually. Shane, Mom began, I think we both suspected that you might be gay. You did? Shane had not been expecting that. Well, yes. We didn't know for certain, obviously. We just thought it might be a possibility. What we did not suspect, Dad added, was that you were friendly with Mr. Rozanov here. Ilya, said Ilya. Ilya, then. It's a long story, and it doesn't make sense to us, Shane said. None, Ilya agreed. When did this happen? Mom asked. Wait, was it the All-Star game? You were on the same team. No, Shane said. It was already going on then. His father blew out of breath. You sure fooled us and everyone else. So when? Mom asked. She was so invested. She was fujoshing out. And you know what? Good for her. Since, our rookie year, Shane mumbled. You can't have been. Since your rookie year? His mother gasped. The woman was too stunned to speak. No, Ilya said. That's not right. Was before that. Not helping Ilya. Before that? Mom asked. A little before, Ilya clarified. Summer before. You've been in love this whole time? No, Shane said. God, no, Ilya said at the same time. But then Mom started, oh, she said and blushed. I see. So not a Fujo after all. Ilya's hand moved to Shane's knee and he crouched beside him, seeking his eyes. Shane, I'm okay, Shane said weakly. I'm just freaking out. Don't worry about me. Like, just be yourself, even if you come from, a privileged background. You really don't have to put a conflict in the story of your privileged character just to balance it out with the character who doesn't come from a privileged background. Take Ilya, for instance. His situation and Shane's situation is not the same, but for some reason they have to go through the same sort of conflict. I don't like that. So like this whole situation with Shane, not a fan of this. Ilya took his hands and rubbed his thumbs smoothly over the backs of them. We are good here, yes, he said. Your family is here and your boyfriend, and we are okay here. Shane raised his head slightly. Boyfriend? Such a ridiculous, wonderful word. Ilya shrugged and grinned. I think, yes. Yes. It was really too bad that they were in their parents' living room and that his parents were definitely staring at them because Shane wanted to jump into Ilya's lap and kiss him on the floor. Since their rookie season, Shane heard his mother say, I can't believe it. Looking at them now, I kind of can, his father said. 6 months later, Montreal. Hayden had done the math and figured it out about a month after Shane had told him he was gay. Hey, can I ask you something? He had said as they'd walked to their cars after arriving home from a road trip. You know how you used to go meet up with your mystery man every time we played in Boston, but now you don't? We broke up, Shane had said quickly and unconvincingly. Uh-huh. But you've been driving to Ottawa a lot this season. Yeah, my parents live there. I've been, visiting. Your parents have always lived there and they drive to Montreal even more than you drive to Ottawa, so I have another theory. I think your mystery man is Ilya Rozanov. Shane had been flooded with a mixture of fear and shame, but also relief. He didn't say anything until they had reached Hayden's car, and then he'd blown out a breath and nodded. Hayden had blanched. Holy fuck, I was sort of joking. Are you for real doing stuff with Rozanov? Yes. You sure you want to do that press conference tomorrow? Hayden asked. I mean, no one knows that you guys are friends right now. You could keep it that way. I'm sure Shane was definitely sure. He and Ilya had been planning for tomorrow for over a year. Ilya wrapped his arms around his boyfriend now to pull him back against his chest. Shane met his eyes in the mirror. Your cheeks look better than I thought it would. It's still sore? Serves you right. You were an asshole to Hayden. Hayden is an asshole to me. Shane sighed. I have terrible taste in men for friends and boyfriends. The room was packed with people who were dying to see what announcements Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov would be making together. Shane wasn't sure, but rumors had been stirred up by this press conference, but it was time to end the suspense. Ilya and I have been competing against each other for over 8 seasons. A lot has been said and written about our rivalry, about what makes us different as players and as people, but I don't say enough how much I respect Ilya, not only as one of the best players in NHL, but as a person. He's a great leader, a fierce competitor, and an amazing goal scorer. But over the years, I have also gotten to know him off the ice, and I consider him a friend. Shane read through the words again in French this time and then continued. When Ilya signed with Ottawa, we began talking about creating a charity together. Today, that dream is a reality. The Arena Foundation will raise money and awareness for organizations that provide support, counseling, and assistance for people who are suffering from depression and other mental illnesses that can lead to suicide. It's a cause that is important to both of us, and I'm very happy and proud to be working with Ilya to create something that can hopefully help a lot of people. I can only say my part in English. He smiled, which made the audience laugh. This is not in the notes, but I want to say that the Irina Foundation is named for my mother. She battled depression without help for many years. She had no support, no medical treatment. My mother died when I was 12 years old. She lost her battle. This foundation is for her. It is to help people like her so they do not have to fight alone. When it was over, Shane pulled Ilya out of the room. He texted, Hayden, need you to guard the door again. Shane herded Ilya into the bathroom and pushed him back against the door as soon as it closed. He confirmed that the room was empty and then said, oh my god, come here. He stood on his tiptoes and kissed him. I didn't think you'd say that. Neither did I. They kissed again, completely hurried, and Shane really hoped Hayden had gotten his text. I wanted to kiss you out there, Ilya said. I wanted to climb into your lap out there. I'm so fucking proud of you, Ilya. I'm proud to be with you. I want you to know that even if we keep it a secret, I'm proud to be with you. I know, me too. When the time is right, we will stop being a secret. Ilya smiled at his reflection in the mirror and smoothed his tie. He would have to warn Shane about the possibility of being kissed at the All-Star game just to stress him out. He pulled out his phone to check the time and a message popped out, don't leave without saying goodbye. Ilya wrote back, never. He had a surprise for Shane. Actually, he had booked a room in his hotel. He had less than 2 hours before Ilya needed to hit the road, but after years of practice, they were good at making the most of an hour or two of privacy. 11:26, he texted and waited for Shane's reply. Shane, seriously, best news ever. See you soon. Ilya chuckled, set an alarm on his phone, and went to meet his boyfriend. So that was that. And I'm so tired of reading this book. I hope I can just, clean my slate somehow, forget about this. And no, I do not intend to read the second book, at least until the next season comes out, which is in 2027, so I can catch my breath. Like, I am not the target audience for this book. I can read smut. I have read a fair share of it. But this is not something that I particularly look for in books. But if you do, that's good for you. I just think it's not my thing. Never will be, because as I mentioned earlier, I am a sucker for good character development, and smut just does not have that. Like, if you're watching this video and you have any recommendation that will change my perspective on that, I would love to hear about that. So definitely drop it in the comments. I will check that out. But other than that, I think I just reread the entirety of this book again. And right now, I'm just feeling I don't even know how to put it in words. I just feel very empty. And that is not a compliment. I don't feel good at all. I just feel very, like my embarrassment is immeasurable and my day has been ruined. That's exactly what I'm feeling right now. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I will be very grateful, because this was really difficult to read and read again to highlight and then read again to film. I will see you in my next video, and until then, goodbye.